Hello and welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Rush Rivals, the new kind of Rush game show that we've been hosting. We'll also be taking a look at, obviously we have the new tier list in Speed, we want to go over that, which I'm actually very interested in because I've been extremely busy as of late, so I haven't actually been able to keep super up to date with how the new decks have been performing. I have seen that Salamangreat has risen up to tier 1, which I think is very interesting because there were a lot of naysayers when the card list was shown, when the box list was kind of announced, saying that Salamangreat wouldn't do very well. It's missing Rage, it doesn't really have much of a turn 1 play, and it turns out the deck is actually apparently performing quite well. So I want to have a look at some tournament results, and I want to have a look at that. We will also be going over a new tier list because, again, it has been 2 weeks. 2 weeks is usually about the time it takes for a meta to kind of stabilize. So we will be taking a little look at that and see where we think everything deserves to be. We do have some new Rush OCG cards that have also been announced. So we will be taking a look at those as well. So that is the plan for today. I hope everyone is having a great day already. Let's see what we got in chat. We have Dragson, who just comes in with the first and is on a 10 stream streak. Hello, Dragson. Welcome, welcome. We have a human Portuguese dub fan. Welcome, my friend. You, I believe, have been taking part in the Monosync OCG tournaments, right? I do believe that's you. The problem is when people have different names across, like, you know, start.gg, like different in-game name to their Discord name to their Twitch name, it does get a little bit confusing. And there are a lot of people that do have quite like similar names, which also does confuse me even more. And I'm not the most coherent person at the best of times, so you have to bear with me. We got Dr. Alex in the chat. Hello, my friend, showing off the new fancy animated emotes that we did make. We have Hikari. Hello, first in Rush Rivals. I mean, not quite first in Rush Rivals, but you know, you're getting there. Thank you, by the way, for following Basbley. Welcome. Hi, chat and Tomato. Hello. And then we have Ursus in the chat. Hello, Ursus. And Hikari's also reached a 10 stream streak. I always think it's not too difficult to keep up with our streaks just because we have a strict schedule. We don't stream that often, so like it's not too bad to keep up, but we'll see how things go. So for now, I think we're going to hop straight in and we're going to take a look at the tier list update, Speed tier list update, because again, I've been really busy. I haven't really been able to keep up with this. Like, obviously heroes were dominating before the latest box came out. The only one I know is that Salamangreat's gone up. I would really like to see like Earth Machine get a bit of representation, but I think maybe it will get like a little comment, if anything. I don't think it's going to be made into a tier deck, but we will have to wait and see. So first up, we have Jorfio. The new box introduced a few new decks, but only one stands out. Salamangreat is back in the meta, and it is extremely strong. Okay. With 2 tier 1 decks, we will have to see if one deck is going to become dominant, or whether we end up in a 2-deck format. The rest of the mini box is fairly unexplored for now, but keep an eye on Battling Boxer, which is currently missing a couple of much-needed support cards, which could come at any moment. So this is something we were saying before, is that we thought Battling Boxer, like, it looked like it had a lot of pieces that were like very, like, it's starting to click together, right? There was a lot of, okay, going first, they can do this, going second, they can do this, but their skill did feel a little bit fair, and maybe they're missing a little bit of support. So I would like to see Battling Boxer, like, do a little bit better, but we'll have to wait. Obviously, you know, Jorfio is going to be a much better speed player than me. So if he's keeping an eye on it, I think that at least does mean there is maybe something on the horizon. So then we have a new mini box came out featuring Salamangreat, Cristrons, and Battling Boxer cards, with Salamangreat clearly making the biggest impact on release. With the new skill, Soul Burning Link, we now have another worthy rival to Heroes in the tier 1 spot. So let's take a look. Heroes finally shows its true might, as it has cemented itself as the best performing deck. Lists have been optimized, and as such, I expect Heroes to keep seeing success, although a new challenger has arrived. Pretty short and sweet. Soul Burning Link is insane. You will never brick, allowing you to run staples for any matchup. The only issue with the deck is it has no inherent draw engine. So boards will be weak against certain matchups if you don't open the right staples. Even so, Salamangreat will end on a setup Salamangreat Mirage Stalio. There we go, we got there in the end. Bounce, and Salamangreat Pyro Phoenix with Balinx protection with lots of follow-up. At the moment, it's too early to tell which version of the deck is best for the meta, but I feel like the deck will continue to do well when lists are optimized. I mean, yeah, does seem like... It feels like this is kind of not really saying a lot. It's not really explaining why the deck is good. I mean, other than, you know, a bounce and then you get out Phoenix with protection. But, like... Okay. So Salamangreat was the super polymerization, shuts it down. While it's not completely wrong, it's really... Salamangreat Engine is adept at surviving big pushes and generates card advantage more than any other deck. The question is, though, if your opponent, like, for example, was to make Rainbow Neos, does Salamangreat, like, deal with that? Mind you, I suppose we have got... Here we go. Deck needs a solid answer to Rainbow Neos, which is why people are running Effect Veiler, Ghost Mourner, and Moonlit Chill, and other negates. I mean, that pretty much answers my question. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people are praising Salamangreat. A lot of people are still saying Heroes is good. Pretty much fine. Tier 2, just a couple of comments. Lyrilisk and Predaplant are the only remaining Tier 2 decks. That's pretty much expected. We were kind of in a 3-deck meta before, and these two are the remnants from that. Lyrilisk Tri-Brigade has been, I guess, made into its own deck and is now in Tier 3 next to Shadow. So that means a lot of stuff's come off the list, right? Dragon Maid off the list. No, my beloved. Ghost Trick off the list. Ghost Trick is a weird one where I don't really like Ghost Trick. It's not like high up on my priorities of like decks that I really enjoy, but it did create some interesting games. Now, some people would argue those are very boring games, and I imagine queuing into Ghost Trick on the ladder was not a particularly fun experience. But in tournament level play, it did seem very exciting to see like Ghost Trick into like Shadow and Ghost Trick Dragon Maid matches. I personally really enjoyed those. And Sky Striker finally off the list. It feels like it's been on the list for so long. It was on the list back in Worlds format, and it's just kind of been clinging on since then, but it's finally come off the list. I really want to see what these say. So Sophion says, with the introduction of yet another yellow button deck in Salamangreat, Ghost Trick and Dragon Maid have finally fallen from the tier list. While the advantage these decks can generate is undeniable, they simply cannot compete with the speed and consistency of the best decks in the format. I think that's absolutely fair enough. Dragon Maid is not terrible. It can still generate card advantage well into the grind game. However, Salamangreat, Mirage Stalio, forcing Dragon Maid Shio negate, Salamangreat Foul dealing with the back row, and Pyro Phoenix wiping the board is rough. Dragon Maid is still a decent pick, but it's simply not good enough after the mini box. Okay. It's interesting that just one new deck has, like, dethroned so much stuff. Like, it's not even dethroned, it's, like, kicked them off of... Because they were kind of the dregs already. Even though Dragon Maid remains a fairly popular deck, it hasn't been performing well lately. Why is that? The deck excels in grind games. However, the recent releases introduce decks that can apply significant pressure early on, making it difficult for Dragon Maid to keep up. Okay. We've got some Ghost Trick. We got Ghost Tricks Can't Go Second. Interesting name there from Paris. And its engine hand traps aren't enough anymore, such as the demoted. Sky Striker is in a rough spot. I mean, that's absolutely fair enough. Okay, so I mean, no other big changes. So the big change is that Salamangreat is now a tier 1 deck. I think that's fine. Ghost Trick can still skill check bad / carried players, though. I mean, 100%. I will say there are, like, my primary interaction with Ghost Trick would have been playing against Gozu in the, like, one of the only speed tournaments I played. And I felt like the Dragon Maid matchup was, like, nutty. But, like, other than that, it's more like I've experienced it via osmosis. I've been around games being played with Ghost Trick in. I haven't played against it a ton myself. And because of that, I don't know, like, the in-depth ins and outs other than seeing the results of games and seeing how game states unfold. I think watching a game and playing a game are like two different things, especially for like me. I think I'm the kind of person that learns by doing, and I'll experience a deck, I'll learn how a deck plays by playing against it or by playing with it. Whereas watching it will give me like, it'll give me like the outline, but it won't give me the whole picture, right? But yeah, Ghost Trick definitely does seem like... I mean, let's be honest, you can cog in speed with just about anything. I mean, there are going to be exceptions there, right? But if it's like rogue decks can cog like pretty easily. It's not going to be like a massive uphill struggle. So, like, Ghost Trick will still be a fantastic deck to cog with, so will Sky Striker, so will Dragon Maid, right? All of these decks are not going to, like, disappear. They're probably even going to still see tournament play, because we still do see a ridiculous amount of representation spread across different decks in tournaments. So, although they might not be tiered anymore, we would probably even still see them top. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ghost Trick, Dragon Maid, and Sky Striker all still, like, making top 16, maybe the odd top 8. We're just not expecting them to be winning quite as much. What's all this then? Is that Promanicist in the chat? Hello, hello. We're just going over the speed tier list changes at the moment. Now, I swear this Ghost Trick shouldn't have been on the list at all. I only duel them like 2 times in rank since they release. I only play way more Rush, so, I mean, that is fair enough, but like, I feel like because you don't play against it, that's not a reason, right? Because, for example, in Rush, if you talk to ladder players that only play ladder and don't play in tournament and they don't really do anything else, they will basically tell you the tier list that you look at for like tournaments is completely different. And that is just because the way that ladder games work, because of the cards that are available, deck popularity, the ease of like playing a deck, the ease of collecting all the cards, it does mean that certain decks will just rise above others. Whereas in tournament play, everything's a bit more concise, everything's a bit more focused, everything is a bit more people are playing for the matchups. People have worked out what's going to be. Because, like, you can kind of, like, play around ladder, in a sense, where you work out what decks are going to be popular on the ladder, and then you build your deck to counter those. Which is why on ladder, we've started seeing Forever Freeze used a lot more. Now, we are seeing Forever Freeze used a bit more in tournament play as well, but we have seen a massive uptick on ladder, and that is because the Dragon deck is very powerful. The Dragon deck is very easy to build. But it also does hit a couple of other decks. Now, the big notable thing it doesn't really hit is Sidra. It only hits the Ancient Gear Golem in that deck, and that is another very, very popular list on ladder. So, like, I think people just got to the point where they were like, well, I need to deal with this Dragon threat. This Dragon deck can just OTK me out of nowhere. This Dragon deck can just be unbelievably powerful. And realistically, the only card in it that is mandatory, that is hard to get, is the Dragia Star itself. Other than that, the rest of the card deck is like, it's in a deck build, or it's just, like, cards that you should already have. Like, it's very simple to make. As a great speed player, I agree. I have never even seen Salamangreat Great in action. Yeah, usually I keep up to date with the tournament scene. I like to watch specifically the Grands tournaments because they are at a very nice time for me. I do try and watch all of the tournaments that Happy Ryax is casting, and I do try to keep up with Quantums as well. But a lot of those events do start at like 10 PM or later for me, which does make it difficult to keep up to date with them. But again, I've been so busy lately that I haven't even been able to watch Grands tournaments. Well, I've been watching like a little bit of them, but I'm usually able to have them on in the background or have them like on a second monitor throughout the entirety, but I haven't been able to do that as of late. But yeah, overall, I'm still waiting for the decks I like to kind of come out, right? We're still waiting for Dinos. I would have liked to see Battling Boxer get a bit of representation, but if the deck isn't good enough, it's just not good enough. Earth Machine, again, has come on and off the tier list a couple of times. It's never really done anything. It would have been nice to see that show up, but it is what it is. So, the next thing I want to do is take a look at this video. So this video, I mean, we'll just leave it on mute because it's not really important. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card EU 2024 live stream highlights. So this basically was like talking about different YCS, World Championship qualifiers, and the World Championship itself. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Maybe I'll get to see some of the really cool moments. Obviously, I know some of the players, so it'd be really cool to see some of the Duel Links get some representation, right? So we go through and it's like, TCG, you're going to get a lot of TCG. That's going to be completely fine. There's probably going to be a lot. This is YCS Lily, however you pronounce this, which again is cool. It's cool, right? We get to see the play. Then we get this nice little bit of Shelmy, right? And I'm like, oh, cool, right? We get to see Shelmy, the Speed Duel Links World Championship. We don't get to actually see any gameplay, but we do get to see Shelmy holding the trophy, which was pretty cool. Then we move on to seeing, Master Duel, and then it's back to TCG, but this is the Worlds. This is the final turn of Worlds. We get to see our World Champion crowned. Again, really, really cool part of the video. And then we get to like YCS bits and bobs, right? Where we get to see people that won these various different challenges. Then we get to this. And it's like digital titles. Okay, so we're going to see Master Duel and Duel Links. And I'm like, cool. We're going to get to see probably mostly Master Duel, but there'll be a bit of Duel Links here, right? So I'm like, all right, what are we going to see from Duel Links? I would like to see, Quantum. I think seeing Quantum holding up the trophy would be really cool for this video. obviously, we've already seen Xiaomi, so maybe we get to see a little bit of like speed gameplay. I think that'd be really cool. But as you go through, it is them doing the Master Duel Monthly, which is their like stream where they just go over like the news that's happened and like some interviews. Then they introduce all of the casters for TCG and Master Duel. And they then do nothing at all for Duel Links. So it's fine if you're not going to show off Duel Links. Why have Duel Links on the promo? Why have it here if you're not going to do anything with it? No one they showed off was a Duel Links commentator. No one they showed off was a Duel Links player. They just put the word Duel Links here for no reason. And it was just like, oh, okay. And I will also say, no Rush was in this video whatsoever. So, like, 1, Duel Links got shafted. 2, Rush Duel Links got double shafted. And it's like, bruh. It just feels like you don't do this accidentally, right? You do this purposefully, right? You go out of your way to not do it. And it just feels like awkward, right? Hey, Georfio, welcome on in, my friend. Hope you're having a good time. Promanicus says they should have put up the picture of Xiaomi's balls. I'm not sure about that, you know. I mean, if we go back to Xiaomi does get like a nice little chunk of this, right? Like we get to see him raise his trophy, obviously looking absolutely chuffed. So got his fist in the air, you know. We get to see like a decent chunk like that, because they could have had him on screen for just a couple seconds, right? But they got him on there for like a solid like 8 seconds, which is nice, right? But show more Duel Links. I don't know. Maybe right, I might be biased, right? Obviously, I'm a Duel Links player. I'm a Rush player. I would like to see more Duel Links. I would like to see more Rush. It just feels like we just got so shafted. So utterly shafted. Konami, exactly. Also, hello. Geiler? Geiler. We're going to go with Geiler. I'm really bad with names, by the way. I'm utterly atrocious with names. It's because I wasn't there and they felt sorry I didn't even play at that time. Well, there's always next year. You can try and dethrone Quantum. Xiaomi bros. Exactly. I would have liked to see, like, I wasn't expecting a large part, but just a clip of Quantum holding his trophy would have been so good. And yet we don't even get that. And it just feels so sad. It's so sad. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I just thought this was worth mentioning because it just felt really bad. There's only one comment on this video as well. I mean, it's not even getting a lot of traction by the look of it, but it's whatever. It's whatever. So next thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the Rush Rivals. So we did have our first episode. Well, that is not a super. That's not too bad of a picture. We did have our first episode of Rush Rivals. We are currently in the editing process, and it went okay. I think realistically, mistakes were made, and it's all been a bit of a learning experience. I think realistically, Tomato reacted to the tomato, but yeah, basically, yeah. We just want to kind of go over it. We haven't like got the finished video yet, so we just have like the stream VOD. But this was an awkward one. This was this specific challenge that we had. So for those of you that weren't here, we basically had, the idea was we had jumbled up words. Like, I would say anagram, but anagram typically has a different meaning. Anagram typically means that the word that you replace the letters into has to also make sense. Whereas this is just a bunch of random craps. This is more of a word jumble. The idea behind it was, if one person stands out above everyone else as being a lot better, they could, if we do them one at a time, then one person could absolutely capitalize and take every single one. So the idea behind giving 5 was, if the 8 players between them split up and take different word jumbles, they then have a chance, if they just tried to solve one that no one else was working on, to get it first. So that was the logic, to try and balance out the playing field a little bit. So whoever's the best is just going to get the most anyway, right? That's always going to happen. But by revealing 5 once, there is a better chance that the people who aren't as good at this would have a higher chance of getting some. That was the logic. Obviously, you got points if you just got them correct, so getting them in general was always going to be good. But getting them first got you the prizes, and I think a lot of people did want the prizes over the points. So, because of that, that was the logic behind it. Now, the downside was, we then had large periods of downtime. Now, the downtime was good in a sense that I could use that time to like tally scores and stuff, which was fine. But it made for a poor streaming experience. Now, it was realistically, this format is always going to work better as a YouTube video where you can edit out a lot of the dead air, you can edit out a lot of the downtime. As a stream, it is a little bit more awkward, but you know, it's fine. It's fine, right? We knew this going in. I do think, though, that I did learn from a lot of the shortcomings from this. And so I think going forward, we are going to try and tweak the challenges to make them so there will not be basically any downtime. I mean, saying there will always be challenges that will have to have downtime. That's just a natural part of doing these sort of challenges. But we are going to reduce the amount of downtime and reduce the amount of like dead air that there's going to be, and ideally get rid of the need to start counting up points like that's going to take several minutes. We want the points to be like a very streamlined system, and we are kind of getting there. I'm going to find a vid and ask where Rush. I mean, you can if you want. I would have typed Rex faster, but I had to spell check. Again, you don't have to... So we did say this originally, but as long as I understand what you mean, it doesn't matter if it's spelt correctly. It doesn't matter if it's an abbreviation. As long, all that has to happen is I have to understand what you're saying. If I get it, that's all that matters, right? So, and going forward, that will also be the case. As long as I get it, as long as I understand, you don't have to have it like 100% accurate, right? Like, I will give a little bit of leeway. Honestly, I did better than I thought. Oh, now I have the game in English, even from my phone. I'm unstoppable. Yeah, it's one of those... In hindsight, it's so obvious that some players are not native English speakers, so they will naturally be at a disadvantage. On the flip side, some of the American players were struggling, and Whistling Bird, who was arguably one of the stronger players during the challenge, is not a native English speaker. You know, German is his first language. So when you look at it like that, it almost... What I was worried about wasn't actually as big of an impact as I thought. I think it was more some players will have the right type of like brain to kind of deal with world jumbles, whereas other players won't. And especially if anyone had any form of like disability, like dyslexia or dyspraxia, it can create more problems with this sort of challenge. So we are going to try and address that going forward. But going forward, there will be like some more like visual-based puzzles, right? And I don't think I can realistically like colorblind proof them. So it's gotta be what it's gotta be, right? Realistically. Basically, EU education is better than American education. So it's all fun to meme, but I think realistically it's going to come down to an individual basis. I think some people are just going to be better at it. Some people are just not going to be better at it. That's kind of how I look at it. I will play Rush when it comes to Duel Link Chinese. So, right, this is a question I've got, right? There's a lot of people, obviously, that don't like Rush. And that is absolutely fine. There are people that also would like Rush not to be in Duel Links. And I think, although being very vocal about it is not necessarily productive, I do understand the opinion. So my question is, in Duel Links Chinese, they have GOAT format as like its own separate mode. Would people be opposed to GOAT format coming to Duel Links in the same way that Rush came to Duel Links, like as its own separate mode? Like, would that be something that people... I mean, realistically, you'd be able to reuse your same speed pool, so it wouldn't be exactly the same. You wouldn't get GOAT-only events, so it wouldn't be exactly the same. But if there was a permanent GOAT ladder, like a 100% always up GOAT ladder, would people dislike that as an idea? Would they be like, that's going to take away from it? That's my question. China will make Rush better? I mean, potentially. I mean, a lot of people say that they've made speed better over there, so... yeah, because we're used in streamings and tournaments hearing the English names. Yeah, basically. Well, plus, even in the Japanese show, they say all of the cards in their English name. And that almost adds to, like, the elevation to me of watching it in Japanese, because I get to hear, like, the Japanese accents saying, like, English words with, like, these really cool flares on them, which I think is super weeby, but is also really hype. Hey, Tomato and everyone, hope you're all doing well. Hello, True Doc. Welcome, welcome. I mean, I got Ice Pop Bear the fastest, and I have no clue how it's called in Italian. I mean, that is absolutely fair enough, right? You know, at the end of the day, if you can do it, it's great. If you can't do it, you probably feel a little bit let down. Obviously, some players did struggle more than others. The hope is that we don't have a snowballing effect, and I might do something to try and kind of deal with snowballing, right? Because we don't want the players in last to just stay in last forever. At the same time, we don't want to incentivize people coming last, because then if they get like a catch-up that's like too good, for example, it will then be like, well, I want to now go last, so I can do that. But yeah, we'll try and dance around it. We'll see what we can do. Honestly, it could be interesting, but if they can't handle rush and speed the best without another mode to worry about, yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, true, even in the anime. Yeah. I think, because the reason I bring up the whole goat thing is because the Chinese Duel Links does have goat in it, right? That's the reason we're bringing it up. Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't even suggest it, because I don't think they would do it. But they've already done it in China, so there's a chance, right? But we did see a lot of prizes go out. I think only one prize in total was not, like, claimed. So, all things considered, it actually went pretty well. There was also some pretty interesting duels going on at the end as well. And we got to see players have quite drastically different, like, card pools by the end of it. Obviously, there was, like, a really bad pool of cards that everyone had to start with. And by the end of it, everyone has now quite unique-looking decks. I think only 3 players didn't use a skill. Obviously, Milanessa, as in, like, didn't use a character skill. They used an archive skill. Or, more specifically, weren't using life point gain, I think is the best way to say it, because some of these were archive skills. But Milanessa obviously didn't have any other option. He had to use life point gain. I believe that Sota and Manicist also did not use their new skills. They used, I think they both used life point gain. Which was, you know, I think it's arguable if that was the correct decision or not. I think it did make a lot of sense. I used life point gain because I didn't want to run 3 bosses. So what was your obviously I don't know what your ending deck actually looked like. What were your ratios at the end of Manicus? You should make a round. We are in ads as well, so we'll wait for the ads to finish before we continue yapping, just in case people have been locked out by the ads. Should make a round where they have to guess what the card that is not English is. It would be funny to see them struggle over something like Innovada. I mean, I will wait until the ads finish just to guarantee that we're not yapping into the void, so people that are actually asking questions can actually get proper answers. Dragson, we get it. You dodge all the ads. You're powerful. You're fierce. No one can stop you. You might be the master of Twitch for all we know. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go, the ad's gone. Just in case anyone did have ads. So one of the criteria that I set myself was how every time I made a challenge, I would sit there and go, how would I cheat? Right? How could I cheat in this? So already, there are websites you can go to that will unscramble card names, right? So my thinking wasn't, oh, everyone's going to cheat, I need to stop that from happening. It was more like, I'll remove temptation, because if people can cheat, some people might cheat, right? So if we just remove temptation, there's no, like, worry about it, right? So because of that, when we did, like, the word scrambles, I did specific some of the word scrambles. I was trying to use words that aren't real words that are made up for Yu-Gi-Oh! We were trying to, with rounds 4 and 5, it was because if you chuck that into a, like, word unscrambler, it's not going to spit out the right Yu-Gi-Oh! Name, because the rules are a bit weird, right? So by what you're saying, a human, is it would be a cool challenge, but anyone could just type that into Google and get the answer immediately. So that would be the only reason not to do it. It's really hard to try and keep things fair. Because, like, the other thing is, like, yeah, some people do it, some people don't. It can make it a little bit awkward. So again, I've tried to make them, like, as cheat-proof as possible. That's, like, the logic behind it. But we did see some really interesting duels. We did see Sota actually get 2 wins using Bender Break. I think that caught a lot of people off guard. Because Bender Break is actually a really cool card. It's just a little bit awkward to use. That's the only real problem with it. The cost is very high. actually being able to make use of it is not something that's like particularly easy. But we did, again, get to see him find the 2-0, which was very, very cool to see. We also got to see Bird playing very, very well with his trap cards. He was able to set up his barriers, and then he knew when his cards were safe. He knew when to play around his opponent's barriers. He did play it very, very well. So following that, we then had the Hikari and Milaneso game. And this, I felt really bad for Milaneso, because one of Milaneso's boss monsters is an Earth monster. And Hikari has Gajimaru, which can reduce an Earth monster's attack down to 0. So it's like, you have played against the one person that almost hard counters your deck. And the Beast Gears aren't the strongest to begin with. They have a big negative of, one, their attack values are just really low, and 2, in order to use their effects, you have to send Beast Warriors to the graveyard, so you have to have an overabundance of them to actually be able to use the effect. And if we're not cheating out our boss monsters, we're also having to invest a lot of materials into them, which is also not that great. So I did feel bad for Milaneso. He definitely did get the short end of the stick here, being queued into Hikari. I think there were other matches that he could have won, or he would have been more favored into. And obviously RNG is always going to be a factor in this as well. But we did get to see Hikari come out on top in that matchup. Then we actually got this, which was like a really fun game between Paco and Draco, where we got to see specifically Paco playing around decking out. And he was like, well, I can't out aggro Draco with the deck that I've been given, but my deck is really, really good at recycling cards back into the deck. So I'm going to sit here and we're just going to play this waiting game. And if Draco never goes aggressive on me, I'm just going to shuffle cards back into my deck and win. And if he does go aggressive on me, well, I'm still going to shuffle cards back into my deck and try and win. Obviously, it didn't end up going in Paco's favor, but we did get to see him just keep refilling his deck again and again. Like, if we go and check it out, he went back up to like 12 here. He goes to 13. I think at one point he had like he went back up to like 20 cards in his deck just from like power recycling. He goes back up to 17 here. Like, it's actually kind of nuts just how much that deck can do. And then the last matchup we saw was... I don't think we actually got to see it too much, but it was Manicist versus Hunter, I believe. And Hunter definitely had the shortest end of the stick. He didn't get to choose the his prize, so he just got given the leftovers, which is obviously not ideal. Manicist got basically first dibs on whatever he wanted and got the best, so this was very much like Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb. We don't really have a lot of footage of it. There is a game in here somewhere of it, but I don't know where exactly it is. But the point is that it was an uphill struggle from the get-go. I sent you what I used. Okay, let's take a look. So you were using the 3 copies of your Spice. You were using the Dark Magician, 2 copies of Curse of Dragon. And then the rest of it is pretty standard. Obviously, we do have the 2 copies of Stop Defense, which is a little bit different. I guess I can chuck it on stream, just to like show. There's no reason not to, really. So this was Manicist list, which, you know, is pretty much what you'd expect from a week 1 Rush Rivals deck. Obviously, life point gain is the big standout instead of using the Fire Noodle skill, but the Fire Noodle skill would like lock you, right? So it's not ideal, not ideal. But yeah, that's kind of all we wanted to go over with Rush Rivals. We are keeping track of everything. We have a points leaderboard, so I guess I could do this quickly to show that off. So we have Manicist currently in the lead with points, followed by Whistling Bird and Hikari. We have Manicist won the first challenge, and Manicist did win. And because he's got the points, he's going to win the tiebreaker. And that's basically it, right? Manicist styling? I mean, kind of. But next week, we are going to see some different matchups. We're going to see Sota versus Hunter, Paco versus Milaneso, Draco Kid versus Manicist, and Whistling Bird versus Hikari, which should be some more interesting games. But that's kind of it for the Rush Rival stuff we want to go over. We're just kind of doing a recap. So the next thing we're going to do is take a look at the new Rush OCG cards. We did get some pretty interesting new stuff. We'll go with some of the more boring ones first. The first one is Summon a Snowfall with Ice, the Snow Maiden of Sacred Splendor. So this is going into like the Sacred Splendor archetype. There isn't like... There's only been like 1 card, I think, of Sacred Splendor. So this is like the second one, which is kind of cool. But the gist of this card is that during the turn that this card is normal summoned, choose 1 warrior with 2500 attack, 2500 defense in your hand or graveyard, special summon it to your field in face-up defense position. Then you can choose a face-up water monster on your field and change its battle position. So the logic here is you're supposed to take the other Sacred Splendor card, which is a 2500. It has the ability to like shuffle cards away, which is actually not bad. It just requires a lot of card investment. But obviously the big standout is that 2500 attack, 2500 defense warriors. Oh, that's Yami Ruler and all the Yami Ruler stuff. So like there is some synergy there, but you won't get the bonus effect to change the battle position if we special summon one of those cards. So that is something to take note of. It's okay. It's okay. The Downfall Spiral. The Harpies are cool. That's me with Fortnite session seasons most of the time. I will be your downfall. Alright. The next card we're going to take a look at is Silver Red Pulsar. So a Galaxy monster. 700 attack, 700 defense. Now remember, this is coming out in the Chaos Galaxy set. So we're expecting something that maybe does something like generic with Galaxy. If there is a face-up level 7 or higher monster on your opponent's field, we can choose a level 7 Galaxy normal monster. So that has to be light because there aren't any level 7 Dark Galaxy normal monsters yet. In your hand or in your graveyard and special summon it to your field face-up. Okay, so this is just get out Oblivion for the most part. I don't think there'd be any reason to run anything else other than Oblivion. So, I mean, that's cool. It's kind of Secret Order on a body. Kinda. It's pretty cool. Then we have Take Flight with Space Fulnir. So, continuous effect. This card gains 800 attack times the number of face-up fusion monsters on your field. Okay, so it's a level 4 that immediately becomes 2000 with 1 fusion monster, or 28 with 2, which is actually not an insignificant number. Attack position Cyburst monsters on your field cannot be changed to defense position by your opponent's effects. Also, okay. I mean, I don't think this card is, like, bonkers, but it is good. I think this card will probably see some play in this deck. The Cyburst deck hasn't been performing super well as of late, but is still relatively strong. Is this card on its own going to, like, change things around? Probably not, but it is still decent. It will be a good pickup for that deck. Then we get to gear up with Gadget and Magnets. Now, I love Gadgets and Magnets. I think both of those decks are really cool. So I'm expecting this to be exciting at the very least. It's kind of nice for Oblivion. Yeah, but if you're near the bottom of the leaderboard, I can lose and just say I let you win because I felt bad. You would never. Also, I won't be at the bottom. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to see how you'll do in the next challenge. Sakadetsu, hello, my friend. Hope you're having a great day. So, let's take a look at the new gadget card. So, this is Spare Gadget. So, level 4 Earth Machine, 1300 attack. It's fine. Send one card from your hand to the graveyard. That's already not what we really want to see, but let's see what it does. This card gains 800 attack, so it goes up to 21. Which, bearing in mind, if we have the machine, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Earth Machine, like, Piercer guy that gives away Earth Machine's Piercing. It will give this an extra 500. So, although this goes to 21, you could look at this as 26 if we get that card out as well. Until the end of this turn, then you can choose a green gadget, red gadget, or yellow gadget in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So, we're replacing a card to get one of the gadgets. I mean, that's okay. Obviously, the gadgets are better, but if we don't have the gadgets, this is going to help us get to the gadgets, so it's generally quite good. So we'll see what actually ends up happening with this. The big issue I have with this is, if you're playing the gadget maximum, this is probably going to be really helpful. If you're playing the gadget aggro, it's probably not going to be super helpful. So I would say this is probably going to be more of gadget maximum card. Gadget aggro, I think, has a really hard time, like, finding space, so I don't think we'll be able to fit this in there, personally. Hello, everyone. I wish you have a great day. No, we wish you have a great day, Sakadetsu. Does the Cyburst stop Shiny Shady? Does the Cyburst stop Shiny Shady? Let's have a quick read. Attack position Cyburst monsters on your field cannot be changed to defense position by your opponent's card effects. Yeah, so it will stop it. There's no reason it shouldn't. And then the other card we have here is Beta the Magnet Cavalry. So we already have Alpha the Magnet Cavalry. So this is going to be the beta version, which means we probably should expect a Gamma in the future. So 2000 attack, 2100 defense. It's fine. Usually, like, when we make the Alpha one, it is there not to really be used for its stats. It's there to recycle the trap card. So we're going to expect, again, something similar. So Beta and a level 4 Rock Monster. Send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Choose one face-up monster on your field. For the rest of the turn, that monster gains 300 attack and its attacks pierce. So that is actually pretty good So you could use it on itself and just have a 2300 attack piercer. Obviously, what they want you to do is use it on the bigger fusion monsters. It's interesting. Definitely interesting. What I'm actually thinking with this is you could do something really gimmicky, like have a monster that can attack multiple times, and then just play like a small package of Magnet Warriors, and then just have this just like give a double attacker or a triple attacker, just 300 attack pierce. And that could actually just be really funny. So in the latest Monosync tournament, the latest Monosync OCG, we did see Milaneso piloting Gadgets combined with Dark Galaxy, and that deck did work by making a big 3500 attack guy that attacks 3 times. And that already had the Magnet engine in it, so now you could make this alongside it, and then just have a 3800 attack, always piercing guy. But that guy does already have piercing, so that's not super relevant. So like, by that logic, if you were going to go around that strategy anyway, you probably wouldn't need this. But you could do it with, like, non-Dark Galaxy stuff, I guess. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I don't know how useful this is going to be. Like, it's not a bad card, but I don't know if it's going to be, like, crazy good, is all. Gadgets and magnets are cool. Kuro-sama, welcome, welcome. I'm sad magnets aren't getting as much love in the TCG/OCG. Yeah, it would be nice to see them get more love, right? Because they're cool decks. They haven't really done anything since Berserkion, right? Buff Dark Matter Emperor Dragon. I mean, kinda. But, like, they already have... Like I said, the deck doesn't need this. But, like, it's nice that it's here. And then we'll take a look at the actual spicy stuff. So, ace cards from the Cyber Dragon and Harpy structure decks. So, this is going to be the real meat and potatoes of the reveals. There's going to be some cool shit in here. So, first off, Chimera Tech Overdragon is making its way into Rush. We already knew this was coming out. We didn't know what exact wording it would have on it. So, needs Cyber Dragon plus 1+ machine monsters, basically exactly the same. Original attack, 800 times the number of monsters used for the material, exactly the same. Continuous effect, each turn, this fusion summons card can attack monsters up to the number of materials used for fusion summon, exactly the same. So, nothing has changed with this card. The only difference is, I believe, the base version of this would destroy all of your board. Like in the TCG, I'm pretty sure it would destroy all other cards on your field when you summoned it. So like, it just doesn't have that bit on it. But this one does, Cyber Rush Fusion. So if you control a monster, so already you have to control a monster, bit of a weird requirement, but okay. Fusion summon a monster that lists Cyber Dragon as material by shuffling up to 5 machine monsters from your field or graveyard into the deck as material. Then if there are monsters on your field, except the monster special summoned by this effect, destroy those other monsters. So they've taken that effect that destroys the rest of your board and put it onto the fusion spell, which is interesting. Emperor, the only monster I know how to fuse. I mean, they're not too difficult to get out. Also, hello, Hunter. Welcome, welcome, my friend. I'm just going over the new Rush Duel OCG cards. Overall, I feel like this line of text, this requirement, is just a bit weird. I don't think we need this, but it's whatever, right? To be fair, that Cyber Rush Fusion doesn't destroy all cards, which is nice, only monsters. Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be an advantageous to, like, destroy less. It's just interesting they've done it that way. So the reason they couldn't really have it attached to the Cyber or the Chimera Tech is because we don't have triggered effects, right? We don't have any effect that activates on, like, summon. Every effect in Rush is, like, an activated effect. So then we have the Overrush version, which is nice. And then we get to the Harpies. So, Harpy Lady Sisters Triangle Beauty, level 12, 3400 attack monster. Can be made using contact fusion between Harpy Lady Sisters and 2 winged beast monsters. So, okay. Contact fusion's already pretty good. Continuous effect. This card's name is treated as Harpy Lady Sisters. Cannot be destroyed by the effects of your opponent's spell and trap card. So can be destroyed by monster effects. Can still be attacked over. Face up, level 12 monsters on your field cannot be used as material for a fusion summon. So on first inspection, this card is like, okay. It sort of has the same weaknesses as the maximum. It has the same base attack stat. It can still be destroyed by monster... Actually, I think the maximum can't be destroyed by monster effects. This one can be. So that's like the big difference. The maximum can be destroyed by spells. This one can't be destroyed by monsters, right? So like that's something. Yeah, Russia's rulings was what they had me wondering why it worked that way, and then someone explained why to me. Oh boy, it's easy to make and has protection. That's rough. And it's one card. Yeah, it doesn't obviously take up your whole board, but it doesn't get the multi-attack, and it doesn't get the attack boost at least. Also dodges a lot back row. It does. There will also be some that it doesn't dodge. So, for example, you can shady this. Like that's something. So then we have the trap card, Hysteric Party. So this is actually also really, really good. So when your opponent draws, during your opponent's turn, or when your monster is destroyed by an opponent's attack, choose one card in your hand, send it to the graveyard. Then, you can choose up to 3 Harpy Lady Sisters, and or Winged Beast fusion monsters, in total, in your graveyard, special summon them to your field face up. So this is actually kind of nuts, right? We can just swarm our board, and if we already have our Harpy Ladies Triangle, or yeah, Triangle Beauty, we can just bring that back as well, which is actually kind of nutty. So that's pretty disgusting. No multi-attack Sag. I think this card is already doing so much and can be cheated back from the graveyard. If it had multi-attack as well, it would be actually insane, right? Well, it's still weak to TSA, so... The thing is, we've gotten to the stage in OCG where TSA just sees 0 play. So, like... It doesn't really matter. There are similar effects to TSA, but they usually attach to monsters. But yeah, both of these cards are pretty good. And then we have the Overrush Vare version, which is just, you know, the full art. Look at how nice this looks. I don't really like the whole English TV. I think that looks a bit weird. But the rest of this looks so good. Like, it's so good. I would love to own this card IRL. But hello, Master. Hello, Tomato. How's you doing? Hello, Darth Victor. I'm doing good. We're just going over the new OCG stuff, which all looks pretty cool. Does look pretty cool. And that then brings us to the end. We have kind of run out of OCG cards to look at. I do think that, like, on face value, the Cyber Dragon stuff looks worse, right? Chimera Tech is... It's not too bad to summon, but without piercing, it's going to be unreliable. It is going to block some of your board. The spell card needs you to control a monster, which is, like, a little bit weird. The Harpy Lady stuff just... One is cool. There's like all brand new, all cool shit. And it actually seems really, really strong. So, you know. Oh, never mind then. So in the way that OCG works at the moment really is specific decks have access to like reducing attack, and a lot of other decks just don't care. Generally, there are going to be like some generic staples, like Riser sees a ton of play, and obviously Riser is just really good at dealing with fusions and maximums. Maximums, you know, they're still going to come back, but like you can still just get rid of them, right? At least temporarily. What Rush Rivals yapping did I miss? Oh, you didn't miss much, Whistling Bird. We just literally talked about the results, what happened, what we're going to try and do changes going forward, which is all back-end stuff, so it's not really going to affect the play as much. The spell is kind of a weird one. I get why the fusion spell needs a monster, because otherwise the other part of the effect wouldn't make sense. I think, though, what you do is you just say, like, if you have any monsters, destroy them, right? And it's not difficult to have that line. It's like saying, oh, Dark Hole shouldn't work, because it destroys monsters on both sides of the board, and if, you know, you can Dark Hole nothing, right? Wait, can you activate Dark Hole on nothing in Rush? I've never tried. Maybe. Maybe you can't. I don't know. So if Light Machines didn't get enough love already. I mean, Light Machines in Rush is missing so much, right? If we were going by the timeline of OCG, Light Machines is missing so many consistency tools. Like, it's actually insane how much stuff they're missing. But it completely makes sense we haven't got it, because then, like, Machine Pile would be even stronger than it already is. The thing is, none of the tools that you could give Light Machine would increase its ceiling. They will all just increase consistency. And I feel like consistency is something that deck already does. So, like, it doesn't really matter if you give them the consistency. It's a weird one. It's a weird thing to, like, process and try and work out what's going to be, like, the correct decision. Nope, you can't activate if there's nothing out, but if opponent only got out, then yes, you can activate. Yeah. I suppose it's because of the way it's worded, right? Destroy all monsters on all fields. As long as something is destroyed, you can activate it. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in TCG, you can just Dark Hole nothing. I'm pretty sure that's how TCG works. Wait, but again, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But that is it. That is us done with the Rush OCG stuff. So now we're going to take a little bit look at the tournament results. Because this is how things have been shaking out so far in the last couple of weeks since Red Boot, or Boost Red Boot, has come out. So let's take a quick ganderino. So the obvious ones is that Psychic is still the best deck, right? 4 tournament wins. It's won 4 out of 7. That's over a 50% win rate. It is pretty good. It has been topping less than Dragons, but Dragon Fusion is arguably very easy to get. It's a lot easier to pilot than Psychics, in my opinion. It is harder to get all the cards for it, because Psychic is kind of split among so many different boxes. And Dragon Fusion is also kind of the new hotness. It's got the new cards, so people did want to try it out, right? That's kind of how we're looking at it. Dragons are overpowered. I mean, but dragons are not converting as much as you would expect. Like, I mean, if we take a look at top 4, right? If we go past the first week, so like that'd be like here, we've seen what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of... I mean, it's still converting quite well, to be honest. Well, we're just not seeing them up here. Like, we've only seen 1 dragon post first week actually, like, make top 2. So, like, it's been a bit up and down. Like, Psychic definitely still seemed like the stronger deck. But I would say Dragons are a close second, personally. Give me like an hour and I'll try to do it. I gotta have it in the opening hand. Dragons became kind of cringe, especially after the new fusion that attacks directly. It's funny because, in my experience, both from watching tournaments and from playing, the attacking directly is like, it comes up, but nowhere near as much as the multi-attack weaken. Because the big combo that I think a lot of people slept on was summon Mirageus, Mirageus effect reduce 2, then fuse into Mirageus Star, reduce again, give your opponent's entire board minus 3k as long as they're level 7 and lowers, and then just attack them directly, or basically attack directly. You attack over both their monsters for 6,000 damage. And that is actually kind of insane. The direct attack is still good, and sometimes will close out games, but I think it's just a little bit underutilized in comparison. But Dragons won the Challenger Cup. So the Challenger Cup is always a bit of a weird one. I don't put Challenger Cup on the tier list, or... The Challenger Cup, to me, always has an asterisk attached to it. And that is just because you can change decks willy-nilly. So, although I'm pretty sure you specifically said you never change your deck, everyone you played against could have, right? You technically could have changed your deck. It's always a bit of a weird grey area, where it's like, you can never be 100% sure that someone, like, got to where they were, always playing the same deck. So, at that point, you then have to put all of their decks on the tier list, and then it's like, how do you even do it? It gets very messy. It gets very messy. That's the big issue. It didn't work. I got it in the first duel. Well, there we go. Minus 6k for free with the skill. I mean, yeah, basically. It can be actually insane. Like, it can be. That Mirageus combo has definitely got me a few times. I think that's the issue, is people... The big no-no for Rush players is I don't like it when I feel like I haven't really made a mistake, or at least not an obvious mistake. I feel like I'm just playing my deck how it's supposed to play. And then my opponent does 6,000 damage to me in one go. That always feels like ass, right? So the original perpetrator of that was Magnum Overlord. So people really had to learn how to play around it. It was all like, all right, well, now I can't do too much damage to you because then I'll take too much damage back. So I'm actually getting to a situation where I don't want to attack you. It then created situations where it was like, well, I just won't have anything in attack mode, and that also created problems. I would say the next biggest offender was Metarion with the type change beam Assura Star, which again, it would just punish you for playing the deck how you wanted to play the deck, right? You're doing your regular game plan. You're getting absolutely punished for it. So, again, what people started doing was they were like, or either we need to end the game so quick that you just don't get your combo, or I need to basically never have more than like one face-up monster, which that kind of gameplay was introduced with like the Royal Rebels, because when we had specifically the Death Doom Requiem as a very powerful skill and a very powerful deck, people were learning that, okay, the way you kind of have to play around this is you just don't leave 3 dudes in attack. So people then gravitated more towards machines, which is also very popular at the time, because machines could get 2,000 plus damage in through defense monsters every turn, and you wouldn't absolutely get blown to pieces by Doom Metal, right? So, like, it's frustrating. Just dying out of nowhere when, you could make the argument, all right, logically, if you don't want to get OTK'd by dragons right now, for example, don't leave 2 monsters face up in attack position. But now what you're saying is, you now have to play a deck that has a way to win the game without having 2 attack position monsters, which can feel a bit shit. Now, obviously, you can mitigate this by playing like level 8 monsters, because regular Mirror Gears effect doesn't work against level 8 monsters. So you can play around that part of it, which is like, it works. Let's catch up with chat, actually, since we've been yapping all this time. I've never changed deck, so dragons are OP. I mean, that's fair. True. You just explained why I hate dragons and Overlord before it. I mean, that is it. People don't like it when they just die, when they feel like they haven't misplayed. I think that is what feels like ass. Like, you feel like you've done nothing wrong, and then you're dead. And here comes the ads as well. Rip ads. All right, anyone who doesn't have ads, can we see a no ads in the chat if you haven't got ads? I want to have an idea of how many people are actually getting like destroyed by ads. How many people don't actually care because I'm still here yapping. Because it's one of those things. I don't want to keep yapping if the people who want to listen have ads, right? If it's the people that specifically sent me, right? Well, there we got 3 people. Because I'm British. Why do you not have ads because you're British? I get ads and I'm British. My jolly old fellow. I think a break from the yap is fine. Well, it lets me, like, lets me wet the whistle. Lets me, get my breath back. All the ad dodgers. So many of you. I'm in Northern Ireland. It's odd. I mean, it might just be like browser or like the version of ad block you've got or something, but I get ads where I am. Sometimes I get ads that are in Spanish, and I'm like, why am I getting Spanish ads? I don't know why I'm getting Spanish ads. I do watch a couple of Spanish streamers, but I don't think that would be a reason to give me Spanish ads. That's just my personal opinion. I'm on phone, don't use ad blocker. I mean, the only way I know to block ads on phone, like, is when you, like, what's it called? You break it, jailbreak it, that was called? Where, like, you can use, like, other sims and stuff in it. But anyway, back to the conversation topic. I don't like it. I had 6k life points, one 2400 boss, one 2500 boss, and a 1400 beta. They had no legend trap, and I just died. Yeah, basically, right? Punishes you out of nowhere, not fair at all. At least I won't usually get OTK versus dragons early if I don't have 2 face-up monsters, but it's annoying. I think that's the thing, right? Because Ursus, you specifically play machines, and machines is one of those decks that can just play with 1 face-up monster. So, like, you can be fine with that. But some dragon players have started playing Flap Dragon to flip your guys up, which can get kind of annoying. Is it kind of the same thing with Psychic? Don't need too many monsters in attack, so Candy Life can OTK you. Yes, you are absolutely correct, Akari. I will say, Psychic is a little bit more awkward to get the OTK off. It was actually very, very easy when people were playing the... what was it called? The one which you send it to the graveyard and bring back a level 7. Because then you didn't have to use your Candy Lives effect to summon out the Prima. So you could just say, what was it? Magical Miracle. So you go Candy, Magical Miracle, Magical effect, bring out Prima, fuse into Candy Live. Then you could use Prima plus Candy Live, reduce your opponent's attack down to 0, boost your attack to over 6k, swing over both and kill. Now, you still can do that in the Psychic deck. It's just a little bit more clunky. That's not going to come off as often. When you get into a commanding position, you're already going to have access to that anyway. And obviously, Melody does make that a lot easier as well. But I would make the argument, I think Dragons does it a little bit easier. And it has the added thing of people are going to run into Dragons a lot more because the deck is more popular and the deck is easier to build. So people's vitriol towards the deck is always going to be higher just because of exposure, right? Fair point. It sucks to play around OTK scenarios. You feel slightly avoidable. Except when watching live Go Rush. I get French and Spanish Italian ones for Grand Prix. It's so weird. I've had Flip and Flap in Dragon since day one when the pack came out. See, I've seen a lot of, like, the top players are experimenting with Flap without Flip. I think Flip and Flap is not seeing as much representation, but people are just playing with just Flap, and they are seeing pretty good results. I'm here for this Rush Rival stuff. You said on title. Want to see what that is. We've kind of already gone through it, Hunter. It was basically... We just talked about what happened, the results... learning experiences, things were going to change, and we did talk about having a catch-up mechanic for the players that are at the bottom of the leaderboard. So we're probably going to be enacting something along those lines. It won't be anything like ridiculous, but there will probably be something, just because we don't want like a snowball effect to take place, right? I only played one monster against a multi-attack deck. Seems a bad plan too. Yeah, exactly. It's not great, right? Gacha mechanic, Pog. I only use Flip and Flap because they got good synergy with the other one. Yeah, I mean, 100%, right? Like, they're good. The issue is how many slots do you dedicate to them? Like, if you're just playing like 2 copies of Flap, that's only 2 deck slots, right? If you're suddenly playing a lot more, it gets a bit more awkward. And then when you're playing against Dragon decks, already you have the Dragon, who is a bit of a liability, because if your opponent just summons out like Dragia Star, they're just going to swing over it and get 3,000 direct damage in. Now, if you have 2 more absolutely terrible statted monsters in Flip and Flap, that's like... So you got, what, 3 the Dragon. Let's say you got 2 of each of Flip and Flap, just to, like, go benefit the doubt, right? That's now 7 Wimp bodies, which can get pierced over for ridiculous damage. So, like, it's a bit awkward. It can get a bit awkward. I gotta go, my stomach hates me again. 2 copies of each. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Victor. I love Gacha. I mean, we're not probably going to do Gacha, but, you know... Where is that? There will probably be a catch-up mechanic in some regard. Something just to help you out a little bit is going to be the gist. And that'll probably be offered to, like, the bottom 2 or bottom 3 players. But it's not going to be anything, like, absolutely insane. It'll just give you a bit of a leg up. So, that is kind of that. We were talking about OTKs. Yes, so... Oh, no, the music. There we go. I was joking with the play of words, don't worry. The gist of this meta update, I suppose, is going to be these 2 decks, Psychic and Dragon, feel so powerful. They feel so very strong in comparison to like anything else right now. I wonder if I can... Yeah, that looks a little bit better. They are definitely standing out above the rest. And it's almost a little bit surprising that Dragon hasn't actually managed to claim a win outside of the very first tournament that they were in. We've even seen Machine Good Stuff, obviously piloted by Ursus, do very, very well. And we've even seen Matarion take a tournament. But we are not seeing Dragons winning, which is, in my opinion, a little bit strange. Dragons, plus their ability to somehow always snipe your triple sets as if they know where your negate attack is. Rush experience has become more rage-inducing. Out of 10 ranked games, only 1 where I get my negate attack is resolved. Is this game that busted? Our players became psychic suddenly. Regarding where you set your best traps, it gets hit most of the time. I think there's going to be a couple of things with that. One, there is a level of psychology involved in trying to predict where your opponent's going to set their stuff. A lot of people will fall prey to this. So a lot of the time, like on ladder, players just set their best card in the middle. That just happens. That's not statistically always going to be the case, but it's more often than not. People just don't think about that, especially on ladder. Then in tournament scenarios, you get people trying to like out-predict each other. I'm going to put this next to my deck. Or I'm going to put this in the third slot, because if it's in the third slot, it's not in the middle, so your eye isn't naturally drawn to it, but also the first one in the list, when you get to choose a card to pop, is always going to be the one closest to the deck, so by putting it in the third, it makes it less likely you'll pick it. But then players that are thinking about that will be like, well, okay, of course, it makes more sense to put your best card in that slot, so I'm going to click that. So, like, what I personally tend to do is try and not do any of that. I just set my cards in my hand from left to right, because that way you can't outthink me, because I'm not thinking about it, right? That's my logic with it. But then there's also going to be confirmation bias, right? There's going to be always remembering the bad things, but letting the good things like slip by, right? So for example, you could play 100 games in a day, and in 50 of those games, your negate attack could get popped, and in 50 you could resolve it. But you don't, a lot of the time, remember when you resolve it, because that's just normal gameplay, right? But when it gets popped, that is a big pain point for your game, and that is going to stick in your memory, right? So I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying that's 100% what's happening. I'm just saying that is a potential that could be happening, right? Because I personally do the exact same thing. You always remember the negatives, and then like I can go back and review like a VOD of one of my streams and be like, oh, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It just felt worse in the moment. Dragons are not winning much. That is surprising. Yeah, basically. I mean, they're winning games. They're just not winning tournaments, right? I mean, the High Dragon deck is way telegraphed all their plays and what they run. I mean, yeah, the deck is very straightforward. There is not many interesting plays you make with the deck. It is very straight lace. Just go forward, get in for big damage, smack, and that is it. Which is fine. It's fun. It's fun to do. Doing all that stuff is cool. But yeah, it's very telegraphed. The question is, just because it's telegraphed, can you do anything about it? And I think that's one of the big problems, is people are like, I got punished because I had 2 face-up monsters in a game where you can only have 3 monsters, and most decks want to summon 3 attack position monsters. And then when you just die out of nowhere, it just feels really bad. I think there's obviously a twofold problem. One is we have 2,000 less life points than we're supposed to, which means a lot of these cards are doing more damage than they really should be doing. 2, well, I suppose it's many problems, right? We don't have as many good trap cards. Would those trap cards realistically help? Some of them would, some of them wouldn't. If we got the machine combat trap, the one which, if you have a face-up machine monster in your field, change a monster to defense position, that would be pretty good against a lot of the decks. But that's only for machines. Not everyone gets that, so it doesn't work, right? For everyone. So like saying just having more back row would help. It would, but not. It wouldn't help everyone the same amount, right? And that is an issue, because then it just means that, like, oh, now X and Y deck have more defenses, whereas A and B deck don't, right? So it's kind of a coin toss there. And then the other thing is that skills added together with having 10 less cards in your deck means that summoning out these ridiculous boss monsters is so much easier. In the OCG, back when like Drageastar and Mirror Gearstar came out, people weren't summoning them every single game, because they were hard to do. You had to hard draw all 3 pieces of your guy. You didn't get a free plus from the skill. If you made your guy and he just got destroyed, so you make a Mirror Gearstar, you're investing your entire hand into that boss monster. You don't get like the free +2. And then if that just gets outed by like a widespread ruin, yeah, the game's probably over. You've invested your entire turn into that. You're passing with nothing. Your opponent gets free reign to just swing in at you. And if they've only used 1 card to get rid of you, theoretically they have the other 4 cards they had as well as that widespread, and then they get another 5 cards on top, so they get 9 cards to try and find 8,000 damage to kill you, which is not impossible. It's not super duper likely, depending on what deck they're playing, but it's very much doable. Omega Psychic players kinda know when to hit them for OTK. I mean, yeah. Red Boot is holding its own too, which is good. I might try the bad dragons though, just because I want to test some things I'm not seeing. I assume by bad dragons, you mean Dragon Fusion and not that really dodgy website. While Omega Psychic can reach a high life point that high dragons cannot OTK. So, yes. But, that being said, Dragon Fusion is one of the few decks that can output enough damage to kill Psychics anyway. They generally won't OTK Psychics, but they'll get them low enough that they can kill them on the next turn. Whereas a lot of other decks really struggle to do that. They'll be like, oh, I can get like 4,000 damage, but you've got 10,000 lives now. It's taking me 3 turns to actually kill you. Dragons can still do like a ridiculous amount of damage. To me, in general, your good traps get destroyed way more often than getting to resolve and come back like my opponents often do, especially with fusion users for some reason. I mean, it could just be like happenstance, right? But, you know, statistically, there's no reason your good trap should get popped more than anything else. You might just be drawing them. That's why I never like seeing my legend trap turn 1. Because every time I set my legend trap turn 1, I feel like most of the time it gets popped because there's only like one back row back there. And it's like, well, I can't miss, right? I'm just going to hit the one card you've got. And then you're like, well, I couldn't... Like, my other option was hold it in my hand and draw one less card. Which is just, I feel like, always the wrong decision. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah, I call Dragon Fusion bad dragons. I mean, to each their own, I suppose. But I think it is safe to say we're in kind of a... I mean, just looking at the numbers, it looks like we're in like a 6-deck meta. I would make an argument that these two are absolutely the strongest decks, Psychic and Dragon. Then probably Cyber Dragon and Matarian and Machine Good Stuff are probably in about the same tier. I would probably then drop Red Boot down just a little bit. I just don't think it's in like the same weight class as these three, but I could be wrong. Bro Manicist. 1 hour, 10 minutes yapping. I mean, we did say in Discord this would probably be a yapping stream. We did preface it with that. So if you've come here and you're disappointed that there is yapping, I don't know what to tell you, my friend. It was written on the tin. And you've still opened it up. You've still got a big forkful. And you're still devouring it. Let's call them High Dragons, since that is what they focus now. I mean, I've always called them Dragon Fusion. But that is a leftover from OCG. So for the most part, I've been calling decks their OCG name. The only real differentiator there, I guess, is Machine Good Stuff, because this was always either Cyber Dragons, Light Machines, Earth Machines, or like Joint Tech was kind of its own little thing. Machine Good Stuff like has been a thing, but usually the Earth package you had in it was so much smaller. It was more just Light Machines with an Earth guy. But now, obviously, it's kind of its own thing in Duel Links. But I think it's time we go and take a look at the old tier list that we had. So this was our prior tier list. This was the last one. And to be fair, this does look a bit weird, right? But to be fair, when this came out, this is what we had to work with, right? This was before the GRF. This was before Psychic started winning absolutely everything, right? So based on the tournament results we had at the time, Psychics did feel a little bit worse. Now, I personally still thought Psychics was the strongest deck. It was my preferred deck of that format. It was doing, like, decently. Like, it was still, like, topping, right? It was still, there's a load of top 4 results here. But it was not winning tournaments, right? Only after GRF did this happen. And everyone was like, oh, it turns out Psychic is the best deck by far. And everyone kind of caught on. Now, it might be a little bit of people not wanting to reveal their decks, people not finding the correct builds early enough, but, you know, when we made this list, Psychic weren't the top performing deck in the meta. That being said, I think it's quite easy now to bump this up, right? Realistically, Psychic is going to be tier 1. I think the hardest thing is going to be this. Let's just put all this down here for now. So, what are we doing with Dragon Fusion? I think, personally, I think I would have it down here. I think, realistically, it could be here. I think Psychic has stood out a little bit more. I mean, it's basically just tournament wins. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe these guys should just both be in tier 1. I think Dragon definitely stands out as being better than the other tier 2 decks. I'll tell you that much. I see Yami Terasu on that ban list, rubbing my wound for that limit 3. Yeah, unfortunately, this was this before that limit came into play? I can't remember if this was before or after the limit, but I think I'm quite happy to leave this in tier 1, you know. So what I might do is swap these around a bit. We'll just do like tier 2, tier 3. I don't know if we're going to bother with the tier 4, but we'll have that there for now. So what is going on with this? It's like weirdly off-centered. There we go, that looks better. So we have Psychic. I mean, obvious, best performing deck. It's absolutely insane. The deck can OTK out of nowhere. The deck can heal a ridiculous amount. It is just ridiculous what this deck can do. It's a little bit challenging to play. Like, it's not insanely difficult, but it does have a bit more complicated lines than some of the other decks. That being said, every Rush deck is basically simple, so, you know, again, I think people take it out of context when I say a deck is difficult in Rush, and they seem to think, oh, you said that deck's hard, that means it's got to be as hard as doing, like, Dragoonity combos. Or it's got to be as hard as doing, I don't know, what's like the hardest deck in speed or whatever. But it's not a fair comparison, right? If we're talking about comparing them to speed decks, this is like a difficulty 2 or 3 out of 10, whereas I would consider this like a difficulty 1 out of 10, right? But like it's still more difficult by comparison or in relative to the other decks it's playing against, right? Is this the Tomomato? Lol, hey there. Hello, Dark Tuner. Welcome on in. I mean, tier 2, it's got to be a sure star, right? It's got to be a sure star. I mean, Sidra has got to be up there as well, right? I mean, definitely these two. The question is, do we put Machine Good Stuff in the same tier? I don't think so. I think Machine Good Stuff is a really strong deck. I don't think it should be in the same category as the other tier 2s personally. Predator pretty hard, or maybe Fleur in terms of remembering combos or lines. Sidra, I think, is tier 2. Yeah, I think Sidra tier 2 feels good. I think I would still probably have Metarian above it. I think Metarian still can do more things. Sidra feels more, like, consistent. Sidra just... It has its game plan. It's going to do its game plan. It's going to do it almost every game. It's very solid. It has a strong foundation. It's consistent. But its ceiling isn't, like, crazy. Right? Whereas I feel like Ashura Star, a little bit less consistent. It still is relatively consistent. Has a lot of options. Is a bit of a Swiss Army knife or like a toolbox. Still has the OTK potential. Is still a really strong deck. It's because we're in the UK Manicist. UK autocorrect. No Sant here. Sant is down here. He's down. He's in the new deck section. He hasn't been brought in yet. Dark Galaxy sucks in this meta, and my heart is broken. Yeah, Dark Galaxy definitely has fallen from grace, that's for sure. I mean, if we take a look at it on the in the results, Dark Galaxy is down here. It has had one top 8, alongside Worms and Light Galaxy. So it is somewhat fallen from grace. Sidra is tier 3 for me, top of tier 3. I think that's fair. I think I like it in tier 2 personally, like bottom of tier 2. But again, people are going to like go back and forth. Some people want dragons in tier 2. Some people like dragons should be in tier 1.5 because they're noticeably better than 1, worse than others. 077's Rogue Magician. He's right here. He's down here in Rogue. Well, half of him is in this. It's because it's 2 Gamba. It's good, but only if it works. Dark Haven Godskill. Also, hello, by the way, Louise. Welcome on in. I played it, but I always lost lately with that. Yeah. Hello, Dwan. Welcome. Our one and only VIP. I think I'm almost tempted just to never make anyone else a VIP ever, just because I really like that Dwan is the only VIP, and he just shows up and drops Pot Friend. He's just like, yeah, this Pot Friend. This is Dwan. He's here now. I want to take it all back to the high positions. I mean, they will get new cards, and when they get their fusions, Dark Galaxy will rise again. When they get the Dark Hole support and Dark Hole comes out, they will rise. It's one of those weird ones where I think nobody really wants Dark Hole in the game, and Konami probably don't want it in the game. But like, one of their main anime characters prominently uses it, and they have cards that support it. So it's like, ugh. Also, Tomato, we can't use the Spark Fusion at SRM because the skill limits the extra deck. Boo. Boo. Also, that means you won't be able to use... Because the Magician of Dark... what's his name? Magician of Seven's Magic, whatever he's called. The fusion between Seven's Red Witch and Seven's Red Magician is a spellcaster, which means you won't be able to use that with the old skill as well. So that's an interesting one. Honestly, Dark Galaxy, sorry. Honestly, I'm glad I got Sidra, given it's doing solid. I mean, yeah, it's still up there. It's still doing well. It's not going anywhere, apparently, and it still hasn't even got all its support yet. And it's just getting new support in the OCG, so it could still keep going up. Bruh, where my VIP? How did Dwan get VIP? So Dwan got VIP because we were trying to fix something. I think we were trying to, like... set something up on stream, and we just gave Duan VIP because he was around and willing to help. And that was it. That was literally it. What do you mean the skill is great, the ability to get pot? No, I mean cards. Which skill are we talking about? Are we talking about... Because we're talking about so many different things. We're talking about Dark Galaxy, and we were talking about Sidra, and we were talking about Batarion. I know it's going to be one of those. I'm here every stream. It lets you use Spellcaster, just only Dark Spellcaster. Ah, okay, so you will be able to use him then. That's good then. Red Boot as a rogue. I mean... It's going to be either bottom tier 3 or top of, like, rogue, right? That's kind of what we're thinking. That's what we're thinking at the moment. Dark Galaxy skill. Ah, wait. So the Dark Galaxy skill... Mill 3, add a card back. Man, that skill, by the way, is so insane, right? Without exactly that skill, Dark Galaxy would fall into obscurity, right? The only, like... it's a weird one. I feel like we're at the stage now where all of the Go Rush characters are now playable, right? Join Tech is kind of just put Join Tech Rex in machine good stuff. But that's still working. It's still good. We now have Yuamu's cards actually doing something. And we've had the Light and Dark Galaxy doing stuff, again, entirely off their skills. Without the skills, realistically, Yuamu, Udius, and Zuijo would all be doing absolutely nothing at the moment. The Pot Mill skill. Why is it Pot Mill skill? Have I missed something? Why are we calling it Pot? Because it's piercing, and we get a card back for the graveyard, right? We mill 3, grab a card back. They're probably changing it. The Dark Galaxy skill is weak. Wobsesso, hello, Parko. Welcome on in. Join Tech is a tier 3. I think I'm inclined to agree. I think we are going to be bumping Join Tech up. We've literally only done the top 2 tiers so far. That's all we have done. We haven't really touched anything else on this yet. All of them are playable if you use Sidra. Yeah, if we're playing archive skills, yeah, we're talking about the actual cards though, not the actual characters themselves. The last bit's tier 3, because you always mill pot. Tomato, the memes. I'm trying to think if you'd even. Well, I guess it's still pot. In my head, I was like, oh yeah, Pot of Greed, but I was like, you wouldn't play Pot of Greed in Dark Galaxy. But I was like, Pot of Avarice is still a pot. So yeah, it checks out. It does check out. Hikari, Hunter. It begins. One Sesso. You cannot mill pot if you do not run it. Oh, true. I'm still sick as F, but I had to join Tomato's stream. Well, thanks for dropping in, Parker. We appreciate your company. That doesn't seem like a solution. I mean... So, I suppose the next thing to look at is, like, Dark Galaxy, Worms, and Light are all, like, doing quite bad at the moment. So maybe we drop them all down. Like, just straight up. And then it's like, well, who overtakes? Probably this. It's a weird one. Because, like, all of those decks are doing quite badly. Like, if we were going entirely just off of the stats, we would do this. But I suppose, actually, this... I don't hate this, you know. I don't hate the Red Boot deck being better than both Galaxy decks and Worms. I really don't hate that. Alright, let's catch up with the weird chat that's going on. That doesn't seem like a solution, physically or mentally. No. What's wrong? What's wrong, Hikari? What's wrong? Is it because we've moved Dark Galaxy down a bit and you don't like that? Is that what's happening? I don't know, Light Galaxy is good enough, in my opinion. I mean... So, if we go to the prior meta... Like, Light Galaxy was doing okay. Where is it? It's like here. It got 2 tournament wins. It had barely any representation. This was its biggest drawback. But, when it was seeing play, it was doing well. Like, 2 wins. Like, less play the Machine Good stuff, Dragon Fusion and Worm Fusion, but still getting 2 wins. I think maybe we do give it a little bit of credit. This is fine, yeah. Move Fire and Yami to Rogue. I mean, yeah, I think that probably makes sense. It's funny as well how much the Volcano Dragon deck just kind of disappeared. I don't hate this, to be fair. Again, I don't even know if we needed tier 4, to be honest. Light Galaxy might actually be above Dark Galaxy. I mean, we had it above Dark Galaxy anyway, right? Then it's actually pretty spot on. And then I will win the next tournament, Quantums, with Light Galaxy. Go for it. I would love to see that. I don't think Red Boot is tier 3, like tier 4 for me. It's a hard one to call. I think the skill is doing okay. The skill is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, though. But, like, that's not inherently a bad thing. It's a toughie. It is a toughie. I think that's genuinely a difficult decision, is where to put the Red Boot deck. I think it's genuinely hard. Mark my words. Don't you mean Cloudy's meme weekly? Whoa, calm down. Only one tournament gets to be a meme, and that's the Quantum meme, okay? Cloudy's could be something else. Light Galaxy is decent into Dragons, while Dark Galaxy are bad. The Psychics matchup is a sack anyway, I mean, basically. If you do not... you lose 50 in Rush Rivals Kappa. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? We start adding, like, external bonuses. If I don't stream it. Uh-oh. Tell that woman no. Paco, what has happened to you, bro? You've always been very outspoken, but, like, I don't know. You've been, like, so aggro lately. Like, it used to be that you would just, like, bully, Toti and, I guess, like, Pro Fear. And now you just, like, bully everyone. Going to college changed this, man. I guess I have to join some tournaments and play Light Galaxy to see if it's any good. I mean, that would be cool. I would like to see Dwan playing in some tournaments with Light Galaxy as well. That's what I do. 50 points. I have to go, coming back later. Well, I mean, I don't know if you're an ad hell, but thanks for stopping by, Hikari. Red Boot is decent enough. Quantum Bros. Aggro Wako Taco. Exactly. Exactly, Hunter. He's so aggressive. He's so aggro. I kind of like this deck as well, to be honest. The Insect Dai Gyakuteno deck, I actually think is kind of cool. Do I think it's like here or like here? I'm not really sure exactly, but like I think it should be on the tier list somewhere. Like the deck is super gamba, but when it pays off, it actually does do a lot. It's actually kind of strong. And then the only one is Santa Mill. And this is a really weird deck to place. Because it's like, it hasn't like done anything. Like if we go statistically, it has done nothing. It hasn't top 8'd yet. Like we saw it like get a couple of wins in a couple of different tournaments. And we saw it do okay in Colosseum a little bit. But it still lost. So it's like... Tomato Bro, 3 UR Fusion needed for Dragon deck. I would say you could probably get away with 2... Realistically, you could probably get away with 1 of each of the dragons. I think you need a bare minimum of 1 of each. Bare minimum. You're going to want a Dragia Star, and you're going to want a Miragia Star. The more copies you have, the better it's going to be, right? If for whatever reason you make your guy, it gets outed, you need to make another one, obviously having more is going to be important. But I think the deck is playable, and you will still be able to cog with 1 of each. That's my opinion. Is Parko turning into Kim Friend? Basically, yeah. Tomato, we've already done that. In tournaments, I played it twice. I don't know if anyone else brought it in a tournament. I took it to a tournament, but I played it like for the very first time in tournament. I misplayed in game 1, and then I played against Cyburst, and I just didn't have a way to win. Like, it was a very awkward game, where I felt like I just couldn't do anything. But then again, I never really explored the deck again beyond that. I kind of wrote it off, so basically just that. Machine's secret tier 1 trust. I mean, potentially. Oh, that name is similar. Ninjetti is me, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty hard to use. Yeah, I didn't realize, like, I think it's one of those things. If I'd played it in ladder a bunch first, I probably would have, like, played it better. But it's not, some of the plays aren't intuitive. You have to kind of, like, actually think about it, which is fine. I do quite like that style of deck, but I wasn't prepared for it, like, in the middle of a tournament setting, right? I defeated Cyburst, but the list was kind of meme, and then I faced the red boot and got Giga Bullied. Rip. Absolutely rip. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with Santa. Like I say, it's not really done anything, so it feels weird to give it like a high-tiered spot. I think we'll probably put it like down here. I don't even know if we need a tier 4, to be honest. Like, tier 4 feels like it's maybe not important. Is there anything we can drop out of Rogue? I don't think we need the non-fusion psychic list anymore. What do you think is next? Monabu? I would love to see Monabu come out. Personally. Santa untiered. Yeah, I kind of feel like it doesn't deserve a spot until it does something, right? SRM out of Rogue? No, not SRM. Right, let's take a gander. Let's take a look. So SRM has obviously, it's done nothing this format. Last format. Oh, SRM bros. SRM bros haven't done anything in a long time. You're out. You're out, SRM bros. Let's take a look. Warrior Fusion has done nothing. I mean, it's just not doing anything. I guess we'll take Warrior Fusion out of here as well. Like, again, if it's not doing anything, why would we keep it here, right? Even Blaster's Inferno hasn't done anything in a while. We could maybe even take that out. SRM out of row. I want the washer cards. One of these days. One of these days. Well, what I'm trying to do is get rid of tier 4. So, like, bump all these down. And then just get rid of this altogether. That's what I want to do. Monabu. His name is Maddox. Heroes topped KC, at least. So, we can probably keep them. Yeah. I don't, like, hate this. How has Cyburst been doing? Has Cyburst done anything in a while? Yep, Cyburst is actually doing alright. I mean, same with the Daigateno insects. I mean, again, it's not crazy, but, like, I think that at least keeps them in rogue. It feels weird to have these in rogue, though. Dark Galaxy in rogue. When as worms, worm maximum hasn't done anything in ages either. I think there is a big enough distinction between these. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think this actually looks okay. I think we just get rid of this. Oh, tier list time. Let's go. Hello, hello, Icy. And you being here has just reminded me. Exclamation mark, Icy. Because I've always got to give shout-outs to my boy. Dark Galaxy is a rogue. Yeah, that's the thing that feels weird. But Dark Galaxy is kind of ass this format. Like, Dark Galaxy has done, like, next to nothing this format. So, like... Dark Galaxy, considering its representation, is having terrible results. I mean, yeah, let's go... We can go and take a look, right? Like, since this format came out, Dark Galaxy has had one singular top 8. Like, a singular top 8. Like, if we look at the graph, Dark Galaxy is like one of these little slivers. Like, I mean, you can't really see it. It's one of the little tiny ones. Where is it? There. It's this. This little... This, you could barely see it. It's so small. It's 1%. 1% of top 8 points. I mean, it probably is rogue. Yeah, it feels weird. It feels... Alright, I'm not going to lie. It doesn't feel good putting this down here. It does not feel good having this down here. But the more I think about it, the more I think it is actually down here. Sorry, Ninja E. It was Kobeti Ulcis in the car. I brought Dark Galaxy twice to Grand Prix and it felt bad. I mean, that's what I've heard everyone saying that's been playing it. Wait a second, you were on speed TCG tournaments? Wait, who are we talking about? Are you talking about Ursus? Ursus gets around. Is this it? Is this how I like this tier list? Alright, does anything here stand out as bad here, right? Like, where are my rebels at? They're below. They're even lower than Rogue. I mean, again, like, some of these other decks are playable. Like, you can definitely cog with, like, you can cog with this. You could probably cog with Blue Eyes. You could cog with, like, so much shit down here. But if we're talking about, like, actual competitive tournament tier list, this, I think, looks about right. Haven't played Speed TCG in a long while. Yes, Ninjetti. Ursus on Rook's Table. Rook's Table? Holy, that's a name I haven't heard in a long-ass time. Rebel Bros, how many red boot tops do we have now? We have a whopping 1 top 4, 4 top 8s. You know, it's there. It's hanging in. Unfortunately, with level 9 in meta, they're pretty bad. Yeah. I mean, you can still, like, do stuff with them. Right? You can still get out Death Doom. You can still wipe the whole board. Like, there's still some cool shit you can do with that deck. But I feel like it's too slow. Like, you could wipe, like, a Psychic player's entire board, get in for, like, 4,000 damage of their, like, 8,000 life, and then the next turn they're just going to rebuild. Or put things face down. And stall until they can rebuild. And then you just can't do anything. It's awkward. Dragons typically are going to go for the OTK when they leave everything face up. So, like, a lot of decks can just play around having face-up cards. And before, you could play things like Stop Defense. But that was in a situation where games were going to go long. There was going to be a grind game. So you could afford to wait until you draw into all of your Stop Defense. That's no longer the case. The game is too quick for that. Those were so fun. Man, wish I knew back then so I could play. To be honest, I don't understand how Red Boot wins. So Red Boot's strategy is basically you plus a little bit, and then you flip a guy up and attack over it. And that's basically how it works, right? You use Flapdragon, and then you just punch your opponent with a ideally 3100 attack guy that's burned your opponent for 700. Do that twice and you win. So, like, it's not going to be this, like, super aggressive OTK deck, but it's actually got an okay grind game. Like, it's not insane. I would still say it probably is going to not be favored into Psychics or Dragons, but it actually does okay into most everything else. I beat an Insect player last night who was on a 7-game win streak. You monster, CZ! You monster! Found about Speed TCG really recently. I used to really like the Speed TCG, but for me, it all fell apart with the second Battle City stuff. Like, I think when they released the first Battle City stuff, I think that was really good. Like the Battle City box, that was really, really good. Then they did the GX stuff, and I was like, this is still really, really good. There's still some really cool stuff going on. Then they did the second GX box, and it was like, this is still good, but it's not great. And then they did the second wave of Battle City stuff, and it was garbage. And I was like, none of these new skills are interesting. None of the new card pool is, like, cool. It's all kind of boring. It was all just kind of nothing. And it just kind of felt like they would given up, and it just wasn't good to play. Nice Flapdragon into Red Boot attacking it. I mean, basically that, right? You play a slow grind game. That is all you can do with that deck. You're not realistically OTKing. Thanks to Flap and Burn, Red Boot deck is good for always applying pressure through damage. More so thought if he was on a 7 win streak with bugs was interesting. I think there's been a couple of people that have actually gotten some really good win streaks with the bugs. I've seen a lot of people commenting on my bug videos saying that you should be playing like type change beam to change Ancient Gear Golem into an insect, and then you use Polygon Butterfly to give it an attack boost and give it double attack, which is like really interesting because I had originally thought, you know, oh, type change beam, change your opponents into insects. You don't need it. You've got plenty of ways to change your opponents into insects. What I didn't consider was changing my own monsters into insects. So, like, there is some, like, cool shit you could do there. Flapdragon plus Red Boot kind of reminds me of Innovator, Piercing, and Shuffling. Yes. I suppose the major difference there is the additional burn you get, and then obviously the skill pluses you. The machine skill doesn't plus you, right? The machine skill is just fix your hand. The red boot skill, RB Drive, lets you fix your hand and get a boss, or get the flip or the flap. You also get put something in the graveyard, which again can fuel your flip and your flap. There's like lots of different stuff you can do with it. Sounds cool. Yeah, I mean, it's decent. Decent. I think this is how I like this list. Like, again, it feels weird to, like, have Dark Galaxy down here. This is the weirdest part of this list to me. But I think it's accurate. I think it is accurate. I think I'll try out the high-tech dragons after all. Yeah, I mean, they're not... I would still put them... Like, they're still lower tiered than machines. I still think machines are going to do what this deck does better. But the reason that is because Mirror Innovator is a better card than Red Boot Dragon, right? So, this deck has the better skill. This deck has the better boss. That's kind of how I look at this. I would also say Innovator is better because you don't have to rely on a second card. You don't have to worry in like a 2-card combo. Mirror Innovator does it all on its own. So, you know, when you make that comparison, again, goes in their favor. I would also argue Mirror Innovator can out-maximums on its own. The Red Boot deck doesn't out-maximum super consistently, not super well. So it's like, you kind of like, well, do I want to play Pot of Greed? Because it's going to be really good against everything. Or do I play Torrential Tribute? Do you play Tribute to the Doomed? Because that can out-maximums. It's like, oh, do I try to fit room for TSA in case I go up against Yggdrago? Because I think a lot of the times, Yggdrago is going to sort of auto-win against this. Now, it's not a straight auto-win, but it's going to be very, very highly favored towards the Cybers player, unless you have specific text to deal with it. Yeah, I think this is good. I think I quite like this list. I think this is how I like it. Yeah. So I guess that's that done. That was Biggy's deck, and then that's it for all of it. So, with that done, I think we might actually play some Duel Links. That's weird, isn't it? We don't do this often. So, we are going to go ahead and play some RB Drive ourselves, I think. I kind of want to play some Speed, I'm not going to lie. But, I want to give Speed like a proper good go. So I think we're going to play RB Drive today, and then on Thursday, if nothing else is happening, we'll probably play some Speed then. I think that's what we're going to do. So we are playing RB Drive, but we are playing a build of RB Drive that is playing Secret Order. So this is a weird build. We just want to try it out. We want to see how it feels. We haven't really tested this at all, so this is kind of going to be our testing, and we're just going to see how it goes. Alright. Game 1, we are against Mia, who is playing Psychic. So already, we really are going to be... We haven't opened the free packs yet. That's the point. We could open our free packs. We could do that on stream. We'll set. We'll set. I don't think I want to tribute this out. Because I can just discard it. Oh, but then again, we don't have anything to go with it. I guess we will tribute out then. We're just going to tribute set this. I really don't want it, like, clogging my hand. If we had Secret Order set, I would probably keep it in hand, but I don't think we're going to bother with that now. But if I remember, we will open our free packs after this. There's a back row. Are we going to see another back row? Infinite D Live. Okay. We're going to send? Well, we're adding? Okay. What are we adding? This early as well. So getting rid of the Psychic Divergence. We're grabbing the Ice Pot Bear. We don't currently have... Choose my sleeves. And choose the game mat. Right, well, do you have any idea of what you want? Blue Fang for both. Okay, we can do that after this. Do we know what's in his hand? He's got Ice Pop in hand that he just kept there. I could activate this. I don't think there's a reason to use that. We still have him just hanging out. This isn't live because he doesn't have a 7 or higher. If I activate the skill, I could just reduce his attack, or I could grab another card. I could grab a second copy of Red Boot, which is not bad. No, do we just have lethal? I'd have to what? Discard? No, we don't have lethal, right? We'd have to discard 1, 2, 3. Get that back, use its effect, get back another, tribute that out. Burn for however much. We could just pop the back row, get him for 3,000 plus... Oh, that is lethal, right? I'm pretty sure this is lethal. Right, we'll flip up Volcano Attack. We'll go ahead and use Dragon's Inferno. Just get rid of that back row. Oh, he's got 68, so that's not going to be lethal. It's a good thing we got rid of that. Either way, we want to activate this. We're going to want cards in the graveyard. So you don't matter coming to hand. So to our hand, we will grab... I don't think it matters too much. We'll grab App Blizzard. To the graveyard, we'll send probably Flapdragon. We'll activate this. We'll get rid of 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, no, because his effect's going to stop it, isn't it? If you have no other monsters on your field, can't special summon monsters from your hand or graveyard. Okay, so that is actually going to conflict. That's good to know, though. That's good to know. There's no reason to, like, do anything else here, then. We'll just grab this. We'll just summon this out. In that case, do we want to take Replacer out? That actually conflicts this hard. If only he didn't gain the 800. So I don't think we're going to have enough, are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I haven't done any maths here at all. I think this might be just lethal. Exact lethal! I should really just do the maths. I've got time. Yeah, take that, Mia, and your tier 1 meta threat. Alright, we're going to go Blue Fang for both. We'll do that before we forget. Then we'll open our free packs. Hello, Octoti. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing, my friend? He's British. He's cooking stock. So he's British, so he's cooking slop. Ah, I see. I mean, it checks out. Alright. Step 1. Change our sleeves. So you wanted... I assume it's going to be in this section. Yeah, Blue Fang, and Blue Fang. I don't know why it's, like, lagging a little bit here, but that's fine. But we'll grab them. Then we will go to open our packs. What is it, in special? I don't know why it's, like, lagging a little bit. It's weird. But yeah, we'll open our free packs. Let's see what we get. Let's see what we get. Purchase limit of 1. Let's see if we get anything crazy. Pack number 1. Train Connection. Machina Defense Perimeter. Brawl Supplier. I mean, I do like the Earth Machine stuff, but, like, I don't think I'm going to realistically dive deep into here, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. Out of the cards I would like, I guess, like, Riot Dragon would be the card I'm after the most. Isn't this the deck? The worst parts of both Red Boot and Blaster's Inferno. So, not really. So, Blaster's Inferno basically gets the ability to effectively get easy access to the back row pop. Whereas this deck gets easy access to additional bodies and has ways to put Volcano Attack in the graveyard very easily. Again, lots of Trickstar cards. Battling Boxer, Morphtronic, Double Disruptor Dragon. Neat. I don't think I'd ever use this card, but I have it now. Fail, Explode a Rocket Dragon. I mean, Explode a Rocket's at least kind of useful in a couple of different decks. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. Actually a kind of good card. I don't know if we'll ever use it, but... Battling Boxer Headgeared. And then last pack, let's see what we get. Double-Headed Anger Knuckle, also a really good card for the Earth Machine deck. So, yeah, all things considered, not a bad 10-pack. But yeah, the added benefit of playing the RB Drive deck is that you get the skill. One thing I will probably do is take out Star Replacer. Just because, I don't know, it's a hard decision to make. Because Star Replacer is really good. But I don't want to bring it back with Dragonic Pressure if we're also going to use a Secret Order play on the same turn. So what I'll probably do is take this out, and then we're just going to add in like a single copy of Treasure Dragon. Because then that is now our best target for the Dragonic Pressure. We'll see how it goes, we'll see how it goes. Alright, let's play again. Let's see if we can find another strong opponent. We already beat the tier 1 deck, so it's already not looking too bad for us, to be honest. Achilles. Okay. My problem playing Red Boot is drawing too many spell traps, but I see you're playing Secret Order. Yes. Which basically is like having an extra monster, right? It's like a monster you can set the turn before you use it. I'm a little bit concerned. These guys have low defense, and he's playing Light Galaxy, which is actually kind of horrific. Especially Flap. Flap is very much underprepared for this. And he empties his whole hand with 3 back row. That is horrifying. And we have just, like, nothing proactive here, like, whatsoever. I think we just have to set. The downside is, if he gets everything he needs, we're going to be in a really bad spot. I don't think we use the skill here. Because I don't see a point in getting, like, a Red Boot out just to clear a defense position monster. I might test it, I guess. I wouldn't expect this to actually be, like, good. But, you know, I think the skill is very underrated. I play 7 Spell Trap. Yeah, I mean, this build's playing 10, but that's including 3 Secret Order, so it's like it's only playing 7. Galactica Order. Also, the fact that he didn't draw any level 7s turn 1 is so sad to me. Grabs the charge. I need him to flip up the middle one. If he does that, the maths work out really well for us. If he doesn't do that, we're going to be in such a bad spot because we're going to take so much damage, especially if he does exactly the way he wants to, which is flip up one of the side ones and pierce over the middle one. If he does that, we are in a really bad spot. Universal Storm here is, like, fine. Obviously, we'd rather keep the back row, but, like, we want him to use his back row. The skill is good, but its limiting of the boss is a little too tough. I mean, that's fair. So he has 2 Meteor Charge! Oh, God. We might just get OTK'd. And he flips up the correct one. Watch him now attack the 0 defense as well. Could you please flip up the middle one? So, like, I have a little bit of RNG on my side. If he flips the other one up, yeah, we're just dead. Now, the game is over. There's nothing we can do about that. We just got utterly sacked. Ah, that was so sad, bro. Not only did he have the ideal perfect opening, right? Because he got all 5 sets. We didn't have any way to push damage through. And he didn't open any level 7 monsters. So that was like the perfect turn 1. We then had only 1 back row, so we couldn't realistically do anything either. So it's like, ugh. Thanks for the playtime. Ah, so you were stream sniping! That's why you knew which ones to flip up. Yeah, there was nothing we could do there. We lost the coin flip. You opened a, like, perfect hand. There was no winning that. There was no possible way for us to outplay that. And I never like opening this turn 1. I guess we'll do this. Then we'll pass. Let's see what he's got. I have 3 sets. 1 secret and 1 meteor. Why do you keep ending every sentence with KK? I mean, you basically opened a custom hand. Like, we couldn't beat that. There was nothing we could have done there, realistically. Alright, Dragiastar Nova. Boost the attack up. Do we even bother using the trap? I think we do. Because he's got nothing else. So we can probably get in some really good damage here. We can potentially use Phoenix Dragon if we want to tribute over as well. That's a really weird draw. We've got the 2. I guess we go Triad, flip Phoenix, flip Volcano Attack, activate Triad to draw. Then we always want to summon this. There's no reason to use this because we've already got that. Unless we want to do a second tribute, but that doesn't really get me anything. We can just grab a 1500 attacker if we want. That doesn't really change the maths on anything. I guess we just go ahead and tribute these 2. Summon this out. The problem is we will still just be dead to, like, most things. So we are going to summon out the Triad Drago. We will activate the effect. That is pretty good. That is basically what we were hoping for. So I'll tribute these 2, summon this out, activate Order. We'll bring out the Volcano Attack. We'll activate Red Boot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, this is well over lethal. I don't even need to use the skill. So we will just go to battle. We'll swing over this. Swing in for 3k. And get in for 24. Nice. Pretty standard. Now, obviously that wasn't really a real game because our opponent didn't really have anything, right? Like he summoned Dragius past. He obviously had 2 bosses in his hand. So it's kind of whatever. It was nice that we were able to come up with 6,000 damage. Like, that was nice. But it doesn't really show off the deck doing anything particularly special. Now this is probably going to be a difficult matchup for us. We do have a lot of low defense monsters. Like Flip and Flap, obviously. If we summon App Blizzard in defense, that means it's getting Flip and Flap. Exactly what we didn't want. Flip and Flap in the open. How do we want to do this? And we have to summon this. We have to set this. I think we just have to set the Flip and Flap. We just have to get them into the graveyard. We could set the Replacer, but I think we need the Replacer effect in case our hand, like, is really bad next turn. We're probably going to take a lot of damage here. How's it going? Hello, Ace. Welcome, welcome on in. You've caught us playing some RB Drive. Void Destruction, and we've got the 1600. Ugh, and he gets the cream of the crop. The only thing he doesn't have a choice of is a boss. If he doesn't have a boss in hand, we're actually looking alright. If he has a boss in hand, this is going to look very bad. We just need to hope that he hasn't got a Requiem or an Elysium in hand. Because if he has, we could just die this turn. Yeah. There's nothing we can do about this. Ugh, and it's Elysium. I mean, it doesn't really change anything. But, like, we're in a situation where we kind of have to win next turn or we're just kind of dead. And this is what I meant. We always knew we were going to have a horrible matchup into this deck. Like, Dark Galaxy absolutely bullies us. We just have too many low defenses. But OTKing through this is nigh impossible. I mean, we have some stuff we can do. If I had a level 7, I'll be feeling a lot better. Unfortunately, none of them are light, so we can't get one anyway. I think we always just use Dragonic Pressure, though. We'll go 1. We'll go 2. We'll go 3. And here, we will just bring back Star Replacer. Activate Replacer. Doesn't matter what we bring back, it's getting tributed. Tribute 1, Tribute 2. Summon this out. And we'll activate the skill, because what else are we going to do? We might as well grab a 1500 attacker. We might be dead because of the 1500 attacker, but I just feel like we don't do anything otherwise, right? Like, just setting this, or setting anything, is always going to be in the same boat if he just gets access to any form of piercing. Let's just send everything. I mean, to be fair, we were literally just a single level 7 from winning the game. So, like, all things considered, we almost OTK'd him. But I don't see us living this turn. I don't see us living this turn. Void Destruction. And that is just lethal. There's nothing we can do about it. Rest in peace. Alright, we go again. Would it have made a difference if we had gone second? No, we would have been in a worse position. I think realistically, we just don't beat Dark Galaxy unless we get very lucky. I think that's all it's going to come down to. 404 from the US of A. Let's see what he has for us. We're going first, okay. This isn't a very good opening hand. And then we'll pass on that. Let's see what you got. I really hate ending the turn with a card in hand. That's just really just never what you want to be doing. Has the Barrage of Steel, which gets rid of our lovely Dragonic Pressure, which is a shame, but it is what it is. And he has a boss monster as well. Ugh. He just had everything, didn't he? The only way this could have been better would be if he landed both of his extra guy's effects. Then it would have been like custom hand, literally. Another... Okay. Not ideal. We can... I mean, probably just grab a 1500. We'll grab a 15. We'll bin a flip. We'll go Triad. Oh, I probably should have summoned this, actually. That would have made a lot more sense. But it would have been stuck face down. This gets us the draw. I think getting a spell card to hand would be better. And rewarded. Okay. Hot agreed. I mean, still rewarded, just not as good rewarded. We could summon out a second one of that. It's not a bad shout. It's just like, do we want both of them in the bin? I think I'm quite happy to not do that. We'll use Red Boot, and we'll put back... just all of that. Just put all of that back. Just want to get in some burn damage here. Go to battle. We'll swing over this. And we'll swing into this. Let me pass. Alright. Now, what could he have? Hello, Cyclone Valley. Welcome, welcome. I have been very interested in the speed duel leaks. Which ones are we specifically referring to? Because, like, we haven't had any new leaks in a while, right? Activates Reincarnation. Grabs back Rhythmical. Now gets the free +2. Let me guess. Summon Rhythmical. This time he's actually going to land Rhythmical. Yep. Gets an extra free draw. Man, I heckin' love it when my opponent just gets to +3 for, like, doing nothing. And then HE Gigola comes... I mean, HE Gigola doesn't actually do anything, but... Straight to back... Okay. Interesting. That's a good hand. We go Inferno. We pop the back row. So I would summon, use that to draw, use that. We already have the Red Eyes in the grave. So we tribute 1, tribute 2, summon this out. I mean, is there anything else we need to do? We always want to use his effect either way. So I think we'll just fire this off now. We'll just put all of that back. So now I can activate the skill. Reduce your attack. Activate order. Bring back Red Eyes. Set this. Go to battle. Swing over this. Swing over this. Get him for 31. Okay, not bad, not bad. I heard King Dempsey might be a ticket reward. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I love that Mirror Gear Start F lets me OTK turn 2. I mean, you know, it's still cool, even if it's not ideal. Oh, heck. I love having my back row hate. Okay. Gets that back. Because Ancient Gigolem on its own isn't actually that big of a deal. Innovate it to the bin. Tribute 2 to summon out the Innovator. Okay, I mean, this is still fine, right? Like, I'm not dead. If we find a red boot off the top, we do just win. Did we just win? Is there a reason to activate this? It would literally be because we're not going to be getting attacked again. I think we do, because if we get any other spell traps, we can't activate them, because we can't use either of these. So we're using that primarily because we want to draw into other spell traps we can play. And there we go, that's just the win. So we'll go Dragonic Pressure. GG! Very cool, just feel very scummy doing it. I mean, that is completely fine. The fact that you feel scummy means that you have a conscience. And that is something that shouldn't be underestimated. Alright, we go again. I mean, this deck is like, it's fun. I don't think it's gonna realistically compete with the big boys, but it's fun. I mean, if you think about it, we've lost to, like, the Galaxy decks, and we've beaten the actual, like, tiered decks. We've beaten... what? Machine Good Stuff, we beat Dragon Fusion, and we beat Psychic Fusion. So, like, it's really weird that, like, we're getting absolutely destroyed by the decks that, I guess, take advantage of having weak bodies, and we're actually beating the much stronger decks. Okay, we're using Maximum Ragnarok. Puts a card to the bottom of the deck, so the hand might be all bricked up. Or not. Triad Drago here is not awful. It's a little bit awkward, but we'll probably be fine. I think we go for the Triad Drago play. Right. Do all of this. We'll activate Triad Drago. Unfortunately, that was not what we were looking for, but it is what it is. Right, I want Red Boot to my hand. And then we'll just put Flip in the bin. We'll go ahead and Tribute 1, Tribute 2. We'll go for Star Replacer. Oh, I did not mean to go for Star Replacer. We meant to summon the other 1500. Whoops. Oh well. Shit happens. We'll just put that one back. So there is a delay, which means it's probably Slime. I'm also playing against... Alright, so it's still better to attack with App Blizzard if you're respecting Cyclotron. But, like, other than that, I should have just attacked with Star Replacer. Okay, adds back Yggdrago. Now, this is the downside. If he does maximum summon, I think we just lose. Oh, we can Dragonic Pressure it. Of course we have Dragonic Pressure. Double Chaos Femtron and milled the third Chaos Femtron. Jeez. That's another maximum piece to hand. We're summoning the maximum piece. Oh, I would be feeling so much better if I didn't summon the Star Replacer in attack mode. That has, like, really put me in a bad spot here. We've missed out on 1300 damage, and we're going to take an additional 1300 damage and potentially get our hand bricked up. Let's see what he's got. Reduces both of our attacks, so he's not summoning any more bosses then. More back row. So this is almost certainly Slime. I don't know what this other one's going to be. Okay. I mean, I guess we have to do this. Like, what else is this hand doing? Right, we'll just drop pressure. We're just going to straight up drop the pressure. So this, we'll send this, we'll send this. There's not really a reason to prioritize bringing back any of these, realistically. He's not going to have piercing, so I guess we can bring back App Blizzard. We'll flip over the Secret Order. Bring out the Red Eyes. Now the downside here is that this doesn't threaten lethal unless I use the skill. But I don't want to use the skill. So I'm just going to go to battle. Does have the negate. So he had negate attack and slime. Okay. That means we're probably cooked. I don't think we can make a comeback from this. If he didn't have the negate attack, maybe. And then he just uses the skill. Yes, that's just game. I don't think it would have made... would it? We would have taken 25 plus 8. So we would have lived that turn if we didn't accidentally summon the Star Replacer. So maybe it would have made a difference. Maybe. But, you know, we made our bed. We had to lie in it. And this is another really bad hand. I mean, I can't be too upset. We've opened some really strong hands today already. We're not realistically going to always open, like, absolutely cracked. Set. Set a back row. Okay. Set another back row. Oh, okay, okay. Does that... That doesn't really change anything. Yes. We're just going to get this guy out. I'm being kind of greedy here. Because I should probably keep these two monsters because they got the higher defense value. But I want these two because their effects are better. Then we'll just swing. Okay, so he has a back row that he can use. Okay, so it's just Dragon Fusion. It's basically what we would have expected. The fact that he has either a negate attack or a slime already is very, like, annoying. There's not really much we can do about that. And there we just lost the 50-50 on which one to attack as well, which is always kind of bad as well. Basically just gets a free plus. He can only get one search off of us, so it'll probably be the fusion. Where you think Rush heroes fit into the tier list? Better than Yamiterasu? Yes, they're better than Yamiterasu, but not by much, I would say. That's kind of how I look at it. Well, we're undefeated against dragons, but I feel like we haven't really actually played against dragons yet. So, nothing really to report, I suppose. We go again. Yeah, I think the plan for Thursday is, assuming there isn't an Angel Cup on, we will probably just be playing Speed. Like, I really want to play Speed. I keep having this, like, hankering to just play some Speed. That is... Surprisingly, this isn't awful. The only downside is we're only going to have one monster out, which is obviously not ideal. But we kind of have everything set up. So if none of our back row gets popped, we are in a fantastic spot. As long as we don't just die, I guess. Because we could just die. We only have one monster. He could make, like, Cyber Twin plus, like, an Ancient Gear Golem and we're just dead. Okay, so far so good. Now, double back row is still a little bit spooky. Cybernetic customization combat. Boost the attack up. He does get greedy, does not get punished, which is a shame. I would have really liked to have punished him there, but it is what it is. And that is pretty damn good. That is actually incredible. Okay, so we will start with Dragonic Pressure. We send you. We send you. There's no reason to hold on to you. We'll go ahead and bring back Treasure Dragon. I don't have 4 more dragons in the graveyard. Well, not yet. We can get more in there. That's fine. We will go Dragon's Inferno. We'll just pop this one. Hopefully that doesn't mean we just lost the 50-50. I want you in my hand. I want you in my graveyard. We'll go Phoenix. Tribute both. Summon out the boy. Oh, we didn't get the draw of Treasure Dragon because I'm a dumbass. Oh well. Hopefully that one draw doesn't matter. Okay, so that back row has to be a trap, which means we had to lose the 50-50 to lose it. Did we lose the 50-50? We did not lose the 50-50! Another win! Again, we beat one of the higher tier decks. We've beaten all of, like, the tier 1, tier 2 decks. We keep losing to, like, the rogue decks. Which is so funny. I'm curious what that other back row was. It could have just been another TSA, it could have been Fusion, but there's a bunch of stuff it could have been. I assume this is going to be incredibly standard. Yeah, it could have been just so much stuff. Interesting that he has 3 Cyber End, but only 1 Cyber Twin. And now we go again. I might... I might have to call the stream early at some point. Which is disappointing. I really want to get my 7 games done, but... can I put this off? Either way, we'll finish this game. But we might have to call it after this game, unfortunately. Unfortunately. That's if we can ever actually find an opponent. Alright. Either way, we're finishing this game. Either way. Let's see what happens. Starlitsum. You're going to play Salad in Speed Thursday. What's on Thursday, Toby? Is that the... Are you talking about the big, like, $500 tournament thing? We don't know what we're against. Let me just go for a big old set hand. Ah, right. No, we don't have the salad stuff. We'll probably be playing Dragon Maids. So where you said in speed, you just made me think it was like in a tournament. Now our so we have gems, so we could go into the latest box. The thing is, like, I have no like real attachment to salads. I've never like played them properly in TCG, and I've never watched Vrains, so like I don't have any like we say, like attachment to them at the moment. Okay. I mean, that's fine. We didn't lose a ton of life, at least. I could reduce his attack. Do we want to use the Dragonic Pressure now? Probably not. Let's go for this. Because, like, Dragonic Pressure doesn't get me anything, right? It just lets me, like, grab this back and get a draw. Which, like, isn't bad, but... we don't need it. We shouldn't use it, right? We'll go at Blizzards. He's got Trap Hole. Bro actually has Trap Hole. I can't play around Trap Hole. I was not prepared for Trap Hole. There's like no good... I have to get him to use it. So... summon this. He uses Trap Hole. I get sad. How the heck am I supposed to know to play around Trap Bloody Hole? Okay, we're going to activate the skill, because I think we just need... I need guys to just live. We'll grab Replace at a hand. We'll send Flip the Grave. And we'll just do this. I mean, what else can I do? It's not great. It's not great. Trap Hole pretty good into Psychics and Dragons at the moment. Yeah, that might be true, but no one's bloody playing it. We've seen like one Trap Hole. And he just immediately wins the 50-50. We've seen like one Trap Hole we played in like any tournament of the last 2 weeks. I've seen no one on ladder playing it. I think we're actually dead because he just won the 50-50, which is so sad. I mean, there's nothing else we could have done, right? We didn't know he had the trap hole until we'd put down our last monster, which means there was no longer a choice to use Dragonic Pressure. How much damage is this? This is 13 plus 2,000, so that's 33. Yeah, we're dead. We're dead on board. There's nothing we can do. Trap hole on ladder is a good ladder call, though. I mean, kind of. I don't know if I would say it's like a good ladder call. I would say it's like... It's not a completely invalid call. I don't know if I'd say it's good. Because the thing to remember is, there are going to be so many people on ladder that are playing Cyber Dragon. And it does almost nothing against them. Especially if they get out that Ancient Gear Golem early. It just is completely dead against that deck for the most part. Well, there are some niche situations that do come up. Like getting the mini bosses out, what they even called. Cyber Search and Cyber Assault. But like, even that doesn't come up too often. But anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. I know it's an early one, but we have got some shit that's come up that we have to, unfortunately, go and deal with. So, thank you all so much for watching. We will be back again on Thursday, which again, like we said before, will either be Angel Cup or some Speed Ladder, most likely. We will be back again on Sunday as well for another episode of Rush Rivals. So, thank you all so much for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!